Chapter 66. The first step was to control the spiritual energy in his body. It took Han Fei 4 days, and he thought he just passed. This time, he had to draw spiritual energy points from heaven and earth, which was a little difficult. This was a beginner's spirit concentration art. The jade slip began to work. It was written on the jade slip that the world was filled with a huge amount of spiritual energy. They couldn't be seen by the naked eye, but they were around us, drifting in front of us all the time. The role of a spirit gatherer was to catch and control it. At first, Han Fei felt that this was like practicing void fishing and drawing spiritual energy into his body, but it was not the case at all. The function of this art was to absorb spiritual energy into one's body, nourish one's body, and achieve the purpose of strengthening oneself. But the spirit concentration art was different. A spirit gatherer could send the spiritual energy he caught into other people's bodies, which was essentially very different. And to catch these spiritual energy points, the first step was to see them, so the beginner's requirement to become a spirit gatherer was to see spiritual energy points. Therefore, all spirit gatherers needed to practice a technique about eyes, also known as the pupil technique. The pupil technique of a spirit gatherer was universal, and no one was better than the other, because their only function was to see spiritual energy points. Therefore, when Han Fei read about the pupil technique, the system automatically showed a sign that the technique had been upgraded. Fei eyes, incomplete, upgradable, eyes of true vision. Note, the universal pupil technique of ancient spirit gatherers has been incomplete after the passage of countless years. It will cost 10,000 points of spiritual energy to complete it. Han Fei almost wanted to die at that time. This is just a small technique for finding spiritual energy points, but it costs 10,000 points of spiritual energy to complete it. Although it may be a one-time use and has no growth potential, isn't it too expensive? He only had 8,200 points of spiritual energy in total. Not long after Han Fei sat down, he got scared. "Grandpa, I'm going to ask for 2 days off." The old man was surprised. "What? You're leaving before you even warm your butt?" "I suddenly remembered that I have something urgent to do. I have to go. I'll bring you some good wine and barbecue later." With that, Han Fei ran away as fast as he could. Han Fei found that the spiritual energy he had before he became a fishing master was already in the tens of thousands. Even a minor auxiliary pupil technique cost him 10,000 points of spiritual energy. What would happen when he became a fishing master in the future? Li Gang was barbecuing while Little Red wiped his sweat from time to time. The two of them looked like a couple. Ever since Li Gang left the underworld, he was a completely different person. He was now a good family man. Li Gang raised his head and found that Han Fei was back. Li Gang asked, "Young master, have you been kicked out?" "Ha, how can I be kicked out? Can't I go to the plantation whenever I want? I feel a little bored over there, so I decided to come to the barbecue stall for 2 days." Li Gang asked, "Aren't you bored handing out fish at the barbecue stall?" "Shut up." Han Fei was speechless. Why is this guy so stubborn? Even an iron-headed fish finger might not be able to beat him. Han Fei had thought of going to the sea to make a few more fish tides, but it was too troublesome. How could it be faster than handing out fish at the barbecue stall? Although things were different now, it wasn't a problem for him to get more than 10,000 points of spiritual energy in 2 days. Soon, 2 days passed. Han Fei also hated the fishy smell. He thought that he would never come to the barbecue stall again when there was an easier way to get more spiritual energy. Wang Jia and He Mingtang came to buy barbecue every night and saw him every night. Whenever they saw him, they would ask him, "Han Fei, how's your cultivation going?" "Han Fei, the village leader is arranging a job for the graduates." "You can't slack off, Han Fei, what can you do by grilling fish here every day?" "Han Fei, have you given up on yourself?" Han Fei was scared to see He Mingtang and Wang Jia now. These two guys were too naggy. The old man was much better. He only drank and ate barbecue. Han Fei ignored him, and the old man ignored him. As soon as he had 20,000 points of spiritual energy, Han Fei immediately upgraded his spiritual eyes. Eyes of True Vision, Ultra Quality, Upgradable, Eyes of True Vision. Note, this is a universal eye technique of ancient spirit gatherers. It can easily find the spiritual energy points between heaven and earth. The introduction was simple and Han Fei learned it almost effortlessly. He just needed to follow the application of the Eyes of True Vision, condense spiritual energy in his eyes, and then concentrate. So when Han Fei used the Eyes of True Vision for the first time, he found that the whole world was full of small spots, and they were running around. In the plantation, the old man was sleeping. Han Fei said, "Grandpa, I brought you wine and barbecue. They're on the table." The old man nodded. Yes. After the conversation, the two of them ignored each other. One of them automatically straightened up and began to drink and eat barbecue, while the other sat on the ground and began to catch spiritual energy points. As soon as the Eyes of True Vision were activated, the old man spat out the wine with a puff. Han Fei even turned around and glanced at him with a frown. Seeing the startled look on his face, Han Fei seemed to be blaming him for disturbing his cultivation. The old man's heart was in turmoil. What the hell am I seeing? It's only been 2 days. Didn't you go to do something? How come you've mastered the spiritual eyes as soon as you came back? The old man began to recall. How long did it take him to master the spiritual eyes? It seemed to be half a year, but this kid only used 2 days. Is this kid really a low-level spiritual heritage? Is it a fake low-level spiritual heritage? Han Fei began to reach out to grab the spiritual energy points in the air, which almost made the old man laugh out loud. Should I say this kid is smart or stupid? Is spiritual energy something that can be grabbed? But he remained calm. Since you're so talented, you can figure it out yourself. Han Fei tried several times and also felt that he was a bit stupid. The spiritual energy points darted around. Even if he caught them in his hand, they would disappear as soon as he opened his mouth. It was like reaching out to catch the air. What the hell could he catch? Han Fei continued to read the jade slip. According to the jade slip, spiritual energy had to be guided. He needed to mobilize the spiritual energy in his body to guide the spiritual energy points in the outside world. So Han Fei condensed the spiritual energy in his body on his fingertips and began to hook up the free spiritual energy points. Sure enough, this time there was an obvious effect. Some spiritual energy points ran to Han Fei's fingertips, but they were too few, only 5 or 6 points. After dozens of attempts, this number still didn't increase, so Han Fei began to think. According to the jade slip, a spirit gatherer also needed to consume spiritual energy to gather spiritual energy, but he just gathered the spiritual energy points in his body on his fingertips and didn't consume any spiritual energy. Then, Han Fei condensed the spiritual energy points on his fingertips and let his spiritual energy attach to his fingers. Suddenly, spiritual energy points gathered from all directions, and there were as many as 50 or 60 points. At this moment, Han Fei was in a state of thinking. As a person from another world, it was basic to have a flexible mind. Put yourself in someone's shoes. If you want to send spiritual energy into someone's body, are 50 or 60 points enough? For fishers, yes, but what about those above the fisher realm? Obviously not enough. What should I do now? Han Fei's first idea was to output more spiritual energy points in his body, but in this way, Han Fei found that the consumption of spiritual energy in his body was a little too much. What should I do? What should I do? Han Fei was now completely immersed in a state of deep thinking, and he couldn't perceive any feelings of the outside world. But he didn't know that the old man was dumbfounded. He didn't give any hint. How did he learn so fast? It was already dark, and Jiang Qin came here. Seeing Han Fei sitting there with his fingers raised in the air and his fingertips shining, her eyes widened. Jiang Qin asked, "Grandpa, he learned it so quickly?" The old man shrugged. How do I know? He is still teaching himself. He has been completely immersed in it. Jiang Qin took a breath. How many days did it take? The old man scoffed. You can't count it yourself. It has taken him 6 days at most. Jiang Qin agreed. Yes, he may be a genius among spirit gatherers. As soon as Jiang Qin said so, she saw the spiritual energy on Han Fei's fingertip soar, and both she and the old man could confirm that it was definitely not the spiritual energy in his body. He didn't know that Han Fei was overjoyed. It turned out that the spiritual energy in his body was exchanging with the spiritual energy in the outside world. In this way, not only could he output more spiritual energy, but he could also attract more spiritual energy. At this moment, at least nearly 200 points of spiritual energy had gathered on his fingertips. Han Fei asked, "What's the next step?" It seems to be to send this spiritual energy into someone else's body. Chapter error. Chapter 67. As for how to send spiritual energy into other people's bodies, Han Fei only thought about it for a while and came up with a solution. Since an angler could transmit spiritual energy to the fishing line, make the fishing line expand and contract, and make the hook move, it was very simple. Then it was too simple. He had practiced hook kiss for so long, how could he not know? So Han Fei got up, looked at the old man, pointed his finger, and a green silk column rushed into the old man's body. Ha! There seems to be someone next to me. Han Fei didn't notice who this person was, but he naturally had an idea. What if I want to send spiritual energy to more than one person at the same time? So Han Fei put up his empty left hand. In an instant, spiritual energy flashed on his fingers, and then a silk column rushed into Jiang Qin's body. Bam! The wine jar in the old man's hand fell to the ground, and Jiang Qin's eyes widened. Her cold face was now full of curiosity. Ha ha ha! Suddenly, the spiritual energy stopped, and Han Fei burst into laughter. He pointed at the old man and said, "Grandpa, did you see that? I told you I'm a genius. I succeeded, ha ha ha." Han Fei waited for the old man to praise him, but after a long time, he didn't notice that there was a person standing next to the old man. Ha! Sister Qin. Jiang Qin nodded slightly. Han Fei, how did you do it just now? Han Fei asked. Ah. How did I do it? Jiang Qin said, it was the last step. You transmitted spiritual energy into both of our bodies. Han Fei said, it's just like fishing. Don't you just throw the line out when you're fishing? The old man, Jiang Qin, after a long time, Jiang Qin said, yes, you are a genius. The old man swallowed. Wow, I learned all of this in one day. How long did it take you? 6 days. How dare you laugh at me? Han Fei scratched his head. Jiang Qin rolled her eyes, thinking, I won't expose you. Just keep bragging. Han Fei asked, oh, Sister Qin, why are you here? Jiang Qin gave a rare smile. Because my home is here. Huh? Han Fei was shocked, clutching his chest and pointing at the old man. You. Grandpa, you are an old man. Pa! A big lobster was thrown at Han Fei's face and the old man roared, what nonsense are you talking about? This is my granddaughter. Seeing Jiang Qin's face darken, Han Fei quickly ran into the field. Oh. I was wrong. I'm going to find a place to sleep. The old man, sleep my ass. Have you ever seen a cultivator sleep? Then I'm going into seclusion. The old man said, get lost. You're just a fisherman. Why are you training in seclusion? After Han Fei slipped away, Jiang Qin said with a smile, Grandpa, you get along well with this guy. The old man said unhappily, how can I get along with him? How old am I? How old is he? If it wasn't for the fact that the wine and barbecue he made were delicious, I would have thrown him out long ago. Jiang Qin smiled and said, if you don't want him, why don't you give him to me? I think he may also be talented as a soul warrior. The old man scoffed. Go away. How can you let a natural spirit gatherer be a soul warrior? Are you stupid or am I? No, I can't do this. Jiang Qin giggled. Then you have to be careful. The village leader has already arranged for some students to go to the town to study. Han Fei offended the tigers, and now Tang Gu left the tigers to Han Fei as a whetstone. But the village leader doesn't think so. He thinks that Han Fei is just relying on Tang Gu, so you have to hurry up, or he will be sent to the town by the village leader. The old man waved his hand. Okay. The next day, when the old man got up, he found that Han Fei was squatting next to him. Cough, cough. Little brat, do you want to scare me to death? Don't you know that people who have just woken up can't be scared? Han Fei asked, didn't you say that cultivators don't sleep? The old man scoffed. How dare you talk back? Just stand here. Not long after, the old man came out of the house and threw a jade slip to Han Fei. Here you go. I'll give you half a month to memorize everything here. Han Fei didn't know what was in the jade slip. When he took it and read it, his face turned green. What the hell? There are hundreds of thousands of plants in here. You want me to memorize them in half a month? Do you believe me if I tell you that I can memorize them for half a lifetime? Seeing Han Fei's expression, the old man said triumphantly, Ha, do you know how long it took me to memorize them all? 10 days, not a day more. Giving you half a month's time is already too much. Jiang Qin happened to be going to work at this moment. When she heard the old man's words, she immediately rolled her eyes and walked away. Back then, she didn't know who gave her this book and said that he would give her 3 years to memorize it. He even said that he used 1 year to memorize it. In the end, it took him 10 days to memorize it. With such a grandfather, she really had to give it up. Han Fei felt that he was going crazy. He didn't know if it was too late for him to run away now. It was just a pretense that he said he would come here to do odd jobs. He had long guessed that this old man should be extraordinary, so he came here to freeload some opportunities. But now he was given this opportunity to freeload. I've read books all my life in my previous life, but none of them are as good as this. Seeing Han Fei squatting in the corner and drawing circles with the jade slip, the old man was very happy. Ha, aren't you a genius? You're a genius. In the corner, Han Fei opened the jade slip helplessly, only to be stunned. Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants, incomplete, upgradable, complete collection of spiritual plants in the Infinite Ocean Note, a collection of spiritual plants handed down from ancient times. After the passage of time, it has long been incomplete. It will cost 1,000 points of spiritual energy to restore it. Han Fei's eyes widened. Good heavens, can this also be upgraded? Ha, it only costs 1,000 points of spiritual energy. Yes, it's not a cultivation method. How can it always cost so much spiritual energy? Cough, cough. I can't be too shocking. The old man recited it in 10 days. How about I recite it in half a day? Han Fei shook his head secretly. No, half a day is too shocking. How about a day? Well, a day is long enough. Otherwise, I'll go somewhere to loaf around for a day. That's it. Early the next morning, it was dawn. Jiang Qin went out as usual. The old man lay down and slept as usual. Han Fei squatted next to the old man as usual. As soon as the old man woke up, he scolded, Little brat, I told you not to scare people. Are you addicted to scaring people? Han Fei said, Grandpa, I recited it. What recited it? Wait, did you say you recited the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants? Jiang Qin, who had just stepped out of the door, stepped back again. She looked confused. Could she even carry that kind of thing on her back? Are you a monster? The old man said, Don't lie to me. It's only been a day. Han Fei said, That's not possible. I have a photographic memory. The old man wanted nothing more than to give him a slap. Who asked you to have a photographic memory? Who asked you to be stubborn? I said 10 days. Do you have to recite it for 1 day? You can also recite it for 9 days. But on the surface, the old man said seriously, Well, let me test you. Third revolution purple night flower, tell me about it. Han Fei said seriously, Third revolution purple night flower, an attractive spiritual plant that grows on the bottom of the sea. It usually coexists with third revolution purple night fish, but if any fish wants to eat it, it will be swallowed by the third revolution purple night fish. At the same time, the third revolution purple night flower can also absorb the essence from the head of the third revolution purple night fish, so if it is used to refine medicine, it can attract spiritual energy from the outside world into the body, which can increase the success rate of a fishing master becoming a great fishing master by 30%. Jiang Qin's face was full of astonishment. The old man still didn't admit defeat. Then tell me more about it. Thousand Xiao fruit. Han Fei said, Thousand Xiao fruit is usually found in the seabed sea anemone bushes in the level 2 fishery or above. Because the sea anemone forages too much, the indigestible substances produced will be excreted in one place, and after a long time, this Thousand Xiao fruit will be produced. But this thing contains highly toxic, and ordinary people may die from bleeding profusely if they touch it. But if it is taken with the coral fruit, its toxicity will be assimilated. People who use poisons usually use this thing to make themselves immune to all poisons. The old man asked 7 or 8 questions in a row, but Han Fei answered them fluently and almost instantly. The old man suddenly felt that there was nothing left to live for. Both he and Jiang Qin were thinking at this moment, shouldn't this guy be taken to the city? Why didn't Fang Zhe see that this kid was different from the others? Jiang Qin left, and when she left, her eyes were shining. At this moment, the old man didn't intend to continue teaching. He felt that if he continued, he might be shocked to death, and that would be too embarrassing. So the old man said to Han Fei, Go dig the ground. Chapter 68. This time Han Fei's face really turned green. If you want me to memorize, I can cheat, but if you want me to dig, how can I cheat? Of course, the so-called digging was not just digging. Han Fei needed to weed the 1,000-acre plantation first, which was a very heavy work. Even though he was a cultivator, it took him 3 days to clean up the land, and then another 3 days to turn over the arable land. A few days later, Han Fei asked, Grandpa, so I'm going to start farming now? The old man replied, Not yet. Since you are already familiar with the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants, you can prune the spiritual plants in the plantation first. What? Han Fei said, Grandpa, you can't bully an honest man. Is pruning spiritual plants also a kind of experience? The old man replied, Of course, you need to feel the natural beauty of spiritual plants most directly, so that you will be in a good mood to farm. Han Fei chuckled. Haha. Han Fei didn't know whether it was beautiful or not, but his mood was not beautiful at all. I sacrificed a lot of time to farm. Now you want me to prune flowers and plants. How can I play happily? 10 days after learning the spirit concentration art, Han Fei finally planted the land. It didn't matter what he planted. What mattered was the effect of the spirit concentration art on the growth of the spiritual plants. Han Fei planted a field of roses, a field of garlic, and a field of strawberries, ready to experiment first. He wanted to see if there was wheat or rice here, but there was none, so he could only give up. Han Fei could now use the spirit concentration art very well. He could send spiritual energy from the outside into the land, so the problem was how to cover the land with a large area of the spirit concentration art. The old man didn't give him a hint, so Han Fei's first idea was to send a mass of spiritual energy into the land, and then the spiritual energy exploded, so he naturally blasted a hole in the ground. But this time the old man didn't laugh. In fact, Han Fei's logic was correct and very accurate, which explained the problem of talent. Han Fei also found that although there was a hole in the ground, there were some spiritual plants sprouting in some places that were not hit by the explosion. The spiritual energy explosion originates from a central point without any blind spots. If we can control that point to only spread horizontally, won't it work? After dozens of experiments and dozens of explosions, Han Fei finally realized that farming could increase his control over spiritual energy. It was indeed a kind of training. One day, Han Fei was about to try spiritual energy explosion, when the village leader suddenly came to the plantation. As soon as the village head entered, he saw the old man drinking and eating barbecue. He sniffed and ignored the old man. Instead, he shouted at Han Fei, who was standing on the ground, "Han Fei, come here." Han Fei ran over covered in mud. "Leader, you were looking for me." The village leader was the leader of the Heavenly Water Village. If it weren't for the fishing trial, he probably wouldn't have known him. Why did he come to see him now? The village leader said, "Han Fei, here's the thing. Recently, the village is selecting some excellent students to study in the town. It's a more advanced school. Although you can only be an auditing student for the time being, this is a rare opportunity. I specially saved a place for you. Go back and pack your things, and then we'll set off." Han Fei scratched his head, looked back at the land he hadn't finished planting, and thought for a moment. What can auditing students listen to? The village leader said with a smile, "The school in the town is different from the school in the village. It's a place for elites. As for you, as long as you sit in there for 3 years, you can learn knowledge about the 5 major professions and even get started." Do you know what the 5 major professions are? Let me tell you. Han Fei was dumbfounded. With a point of his finger, a string of spiritual energy was sent into the village leader's body. "Leader, is this true?" The village leader. The village leader looked at Han Fei dumbfounded, and then at the old man next to him who had a smile on his face. He stammered, "Spirit gatherer." "Spirit gatherer?" Han Fei said seriously, "Leader, if it takes me 3 years to learn the 5 major professions in the town, I'd better not go. Recently, I feel that farming is particularly interesting, and I'm going to further my studies in the Heavenly Water Village. When I go to the town one day, I'll blind their eyes." The village leader. "Further studies? You mean farming?" Next to him, the old man suddenly slapped the table and threw a big prawn at the village leader's face. "What's wrong with farming? Do you despise farming?" The village leader's face was black. "Old Jiang, you're too much. The opportunity to go to the town is something that many young people yearn for. Since Han Fei has such a talent as a spirit gatherer, why do you let him farm here? Apart from making some barbecue, what else can these spirit fruits of yours do?" The old man's face darkened. "Do you despise the cultivation of spiritual fruits? Big Head Zhao, what do you know? The cultivation of spiritual fruits, once you benefit, you will benefit for the rest of your life. Are you going to sit in the town for 3 years? Have you been hit in the head by an ironhead fish?" The village leader scoffed. "Nonsense. The cultivation of spiritual fruits. Why didn't I see you grow a single spiritual fruit? If it weren't for the fact that every floating island has to have someone study spiritual fruits, I would have razed your plantation to the ground long ago." The old man immediately threw a small white fish at him. "You want to shovel my plantation? Why don't you go to heaven? Let's see where you shovel today. Shovel a piece of soil for me to see." The village leader scoffed. "Fine. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Han Fei didn't know what to say at all. These 2 old men were too irritable and started arguing with each other. The situation was getting worse and worse. The village leader roared, his muscles bulged, and he threw a punch at the old man. Han Fei was dumbfounded. "Are we going to fight now? What happened to getting along with others peacefully? You're the village leader. The old man didn't show weakness and glanced at the village leader sarcastically. The old man stretched out his hand and grabbed in the air, and a water-shaped shield appeared in front of him. Bam! The water shield exploded and the two old men were splashed with water. That was not all. Village chief's fists were like dragons. It was clear that he wanted to go all out. The old man stood still and casually absorbed a large amount of water from the void. The water turned into chains and long whips. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Amazing. Is this old man so powerful? He's so cool. He can grab whatever he wants from the air at will. Han Fei was almost blinded by the light. Han Fei squatted on the ground not far away, watching the two of them fight. The village leader asked, "Old Jiang, do you really think I can't beat you?" A mass of spiritual energy appeared on his fist. When the village leader used spiritual energy explosion, Han Fei felt a chill all over his body. That was an extremely terrifying power. Old Jiang smiled contemptuously. You want to play spiritual energy with me? Are you dreaming? Old Jiang reached out and grabbed the mass of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy was directly scattered by Old Jiang, and then it was divided into spiritual energy points by Old Jiang. About a dozen seconds later, the village leader was thrown out of the plantation with a swish. Old Jiang pointed at the village leader and scolded, "Big head Zhao, how dare you try to destroy my plantation? Next time you enter my plantation, I'll beat you every time I see you." The village leader scoffed. Damn you. People like you are unreasonable. Han Fei, the reason why I asked you to go to the town is for your own good. Since you have become a spirit gatherer, you don't have to listen to the training. Besides, although Li Ju is half disabled, he can still recover in advance. You should take advantage of it. Han Fei waved his hand awkwardly. Li Ju. It's only been half a month and Li Ju is showing signs of recovery. Originally, he thought he had a lot of time left. But after the village leader's reminder, it seemed that he couldn't spend all his time and efforts on the farm. Old Jiang's performance just now was very brave. Was the way he grabbed water from the void and changed his weapon at will a kind of skill of a spirit gatherer? If that's the case, it's indeed very powerful. I can try this skill. Old Jiang turned his head, looked at Han Fei with a gloomy expression, and said grumpily, "Are you wavering?" Han Fei shook his head. "Not really, but I have to ask for a few days off." Old Jiang asked, "Oh? What are you going to do?" "I feel that there are signs of a breakthrough recently." "I'm going to make a breakthrough." Cough, cough, Old Jiang was speechless. "Didn't you just make a breakthrough not long ago? Why are you going to make a breakthrough again? Do you think it's as easy as eating and drinking?" Chapter 69. The Tigers. Father, I heard that Han Fei is now doing odd jobs in the plantation of the Heavenly Water Village. Ha, what a short-sighted man. Now Tang Ge has left and I don't know when he will come back. Father, if we don't get rid of him now, we won't have a chance when he goes to the town in the future. Li Hu's face was full of resentment. His strength had been destroyed until now, and he had only recovered 70% to 80%. It would take at least a few months for him to fully recover. All of this was due to Han Fei, so how could he not be angry? Li Ju also held a grudge. Tang Ji's words had reduced his strength by more than 50%. Now with the help of various spiritual medicines every day, his injuries were stabilized. Li Ju scoffed. Humph. Tang Ge wants to use the tigers as a whetstone for Han Fei, but he doesn't know how capable Han Fei is. How can a good-for-nothing whose spiritual beast has awakened a spirit-swallowing fish be qualified to use me as a whetstone? Li Ju thought for a moment. Bear with it for a few more days. Recently, the tigers have suffered a lot and are suppressed by the Wang family. If it weren't for the prohibition of killing on the floating island, I'm afraid I would have been killed by them. So I must not leave the floating island before my injury is healed, so the task of hunting Han Fei will be left to you. Li Hu nodded. I know. After a few days, when my injury is healed, I will wait for an opportunity to take action. Then, with the strong masters of the tigers, I will definitely kill Han Fei on the sea. Han Fei was here again at the most delicious barbecue stall in the world. Li Gang asked, Young master, are you bored again? Han Fei asked, Can't I come here if I'm not bored? Li Gang grinned. Of course you can. Li Gang and Little Red had discussed in private why Han Fei always came to deliver the fish. According to Li Gang, it seemed that Han Fei had some kind of indescribable feelings for these fish. Han Fei released the twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish. It was time for the two little guys to upgrade. However, before Han Fei started to feed them, he saw Little White spit out a mass of spiritual energy. Han Fei looked around and quickly led the spiritual energy to his fingertips. However, as soon as this mass of spiritual energy touched him, Han Fei was shocked. What pure spiritual energy! Han Fei felt comfortable all over his body. This small ball of spiritual energy only contained about 500 points. Han Fei thought that something was wrong with the two little fishes, that they were spitting out spiritual energy, so he immediately checked them. Gifted spiritual beast in name a twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish. Introduction. This is the descendant of the mysterious yin-yang sky-swallowing fish from ancient times. The black and white fishes are born together. The white fish is docile, while the black fish is cruel. They are symbiotic. As long as one is alive, the other will not die. Level A1, Quality, Mysterious, Stored spiritual energy, 0 points. Food, Omnivorous, can swallow anything. Note, the black fish cannot be seen. Except for the owner, only those with the yin-yang divine eyes born by heaven and earth can see through it. The 1,000 points of spiritual energy that I stored disappeared. Han Fei's heart trembled. Did these two little guys purify the spiritual energy? How about the purified spiritual energy? That would naturally be good. For example, the higher the oxygen concentration within the tolerable range, the better. Of course, that would be good. In the age of the explosion of life, mosquitoes could be as big as fists. Whether they were in the sea, on land, or on plants, they were all huge creatures. To put it simply, if Han Fei kept absorbing this kind of high-purity spiritual energy, it could help to broaden his meridians, strengthen his bones and body, and the purer his combat power was, the stronger his combat power would be. Wow, I'm rich! Han Fei was overjoyed. Li Gang and Little Red looked back from time to time, feeling that their young master might be a bit abnormal. Sometimes he seemed to be very smart, but sometimes he was just a fool. Han Fei fed Little White another 1,000 points of spiritual energy and found that it didn't make a breakthrough, so he fed it another 500 points. When he found that Little White didn't eat anymore, he knew that it was full. So Han Fei began to absorb spiritual energy by himself, but he still felt that it was too slow. He had to think of other ways to earn spiritual energy. Little Gang. Young master, what's up? Advertise that the barbecue stall will be half price for 3 days. Li Gang was surprised. Huh? Another discount? If I give you a discount, just do it. This is the way of doing business. You don't understand. Sure enough, not long after the discount advertisement was released, the number of people who came to buy barbecue almost doubled in an instant. 3 days later, Han Fei gained a total of 33,200 points of spiritual energy. Together with his own spiritual energy, he had a total of 41,806 points, which was enough for him to upgrade his spiritual energy. Inside the cave. Upgrade. With a swish, 20,000 points of spiritual energy were consumed, but Han Fei didn't feel distressed at all. Instead, he was overjoyed. No wonder it cost 20,000 points of spiritual energy to upgrade his spiritual heritage this time. It had broken through to level 3, low quality, and crossed a big realm. But immediately, Han Fei's face turned green. He found that it cost 100,000 points of spiritual energy to upgrade his spiritual heritage. Han Fei suddenly had an urge to curse. 100,000 points of spiritual energy for a small upgrade. Didn't it mean that it would take 400,000 points of spiritual energy to upgrade a level 3 spiritual heritage to a level 4 spiritual heritage? It's too slow. Even if the barbecue stall sells it at half price every day, it will still take 40 to 50 days. Han Fei wondered if he could tell old Jiang to open a few barbecue stalls on the floating island. But on second thought, Han Fei couldn't split his time and could only stay in one place, so he could still get the same amount of spiritual energy every day. Forget it. Let's increase the upper limit of spiritual energy first. Han Fei was now a peak level 8 fisher. Although he could break through to level 9 at any time, he had to lay a solid foundation first. He knew which was more important. After a full 5 days, Han Fei lay on the ground like a dead dog. Although he was already familiar with the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body polishing, he still felt too tired every time he practiced it. If it weren't for its amazing effect, he would have given up on it. Han Fei looked at the data. Owner Han Fei, level 8, advanced fisher, spiritual energy greater than 19,203, 379, spiritual heritage level 3, low quality, upgradable, spiritual beast, twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish weapon, purple bamboo rod main art avoid fishing, chapter 1, hook kiss, mortal level, divine quality. Han Fei was very satisfied with this data. After this comprehensive practice, he felt that he was very strong. If he met Li Hu again, he would probably beat him with a stick. Regular level 8 fishers only had about 160 points of basic spiritual energy after they advanced to level 8. Even after repeated tempering, he only had a little more than 200 points, which was several times stronger than regular level 8 fishers. Since I've taken such a long vacation, I might as well go to the sea. In the end, Han Fei didn't dare to use the less than 20,000 points of spiritual energy. He knew that spiritual energy was useless. He used more than 10,000 points when he broke through to level 8. If he wanted to break through to level 9, he would probably need at least 20,000 points of spiritual energy. At the barbecue stall, Han Fei said, "Little gang, continue to deliver wine and barbecue to Grandpa. I'm going to sea for a few days." Li Gang asked, "A few days?" "Young master, the sea is very dangerous." Han Fei said, "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Li Gang said, "Oh, right. Young master, He Xiaoyu came to you a few days ago. I said that you were cultivating, and she said that you would go to her when you finished." Han Fei was stunned. He Xiaoyu went out with her father to upgrade her spiritual beast. Why did she come back so soon? Han Fei had always felt that it was not easy to upgrade spiritual beasts. It seemed that she had made some progress. "Okay, I got it." He Xiaoyu's house. Han Fei just arrived at the door of her house and happened to meet He Mingtang, who was about to go out. Seeing Han Fei, He Mingtang said indifferently, "Han Fei, I heard that you refused the village leader. Young man, you should seize the opportunity. The town is not a place that ordinary people can go. Besides, I heard that Li Hu has recovered and seems to have made a breakthrough. Be careful." Han Fei grinned. "Mr. He, don't worry. I know what I'm doing." He Mingtang nodded. "Okay. As long as you know what you're doing. Xiaoyu has just finished her cultivation. You can go straight to her." Han Fei nodded. "Okay. Take care, Mr. He." He Mingtang walked 2 steps and then turned back. "Don't mess around with my daughter. Well, don't touch her. Go." Han Fei. Han Fei was speechless. "Do you think I like a 12-year-old girl? I'm not that shameless." He entered the door and saw a middle-aged woman. Her first reaction when she saw Han Fei was, "Are you Han Fei?" "Yes, Auntie." "Come on, I just made dinner. Xiao Yu is eating. Join us." When Han Fei saw Xiao Yu, the girl's mouth was full of oil because she was holding skewers in her hand. Han Fei asked, "You eat skewers every day? Don't you like greasy food? I heard that eating too much oil will make you fat." Xiao Yu rolled her eyes. "No, as long as you don't eat too much." Han Fei stared at the dozen skewers on the table. "You call this not too much?" Xiao Yu said, "Shut up. I'm going to the town. Are you coming?" Chapter 70. Han Fei asked, "To be an auditing student?" Han Fei snorted. "Anyway, I'm free in the Heavenly Water Village, and my strength is improving day by day. I feel that I'm about to reach the peak of my life. I won't go to the school in the town to be a student." Xiao Yu said, "No. I can directly enter the school." Han Fei. "What happened to being an auditing student?" "I'll be an auditing student, but Xiao Yu can directly enter the school." Fortunately, the village leader didn't listen to him. Han Fei said, "Then go. When I go to the town, maybe you can really protect me." Xiao Yu chuckled. "Let's go together. I heard that the best talents in the town are selected from all the villages when the school starts. Basically, only those with level 2 high-quality spiritual heritages are qualified to enter, but there are exceptions. For example, you can enter as long as you are born with super strength." Han Fei said, "No." Xiao Yu said, "But you can learn something. Do you know the 5 major professions? Here it comes again. Have you forgotten about the spirit gathering technique that Fang Zhe gave me? I can also cultivate. Maybe what you learn in the town is not as good as what I learn on my own." Xiao Yu scoffed. "Bah, bah, bah. It is said that the best geniuses in the town have to study for several years. Forget it. Let me tell you, Li Hu has recovered and made a breakthrough." Han Fei said, "I know. Your father told me. But it doesn't matter. Li Hu is just a salted fish. Since he has fallen, he can never get up again." Xiao Yu said, "But the tigers have many masters. And your spiritual beast has no combat power. Once those people fuse with their spiritual beasts, it will be difficult for you to defeat them." Han Fei asked, "Fuse with my spiritual beast?" Xiao Yu asked, "You haven't started to cultivate your spiritual beast yet, have you?" Han Fei asked, "Do you need to be in such a hurry?" Xiao Yu said anxiously, "Of course. Almost everyone's strength will soar after awakening. The stronger your spiritual beast is, the stronger you will be after fusing with it." Han Fei thought for a moment. "Then after I fuse with it, will my cultivation speed soar? Don't spirits swallowing fishes like swallowing spirits?" Han Fei smiled. "Girl, when are you going to town?" Xiao Yu said, "Who's the girl? I'm older than you. How are you bigger than me?" Xiao Yu shrugged. "I'm older than you in every way. Forget it. It's not bad to stay in the Heavenly Water Village. At least I won't meet so many geniuses. You are not weak now. Maybe we can meet in the level 1 fishery after you become a fishing master." The town and the village use the same level 1 fishery. Xiao Yu said, "That's right. All the villages use the same level 1 fishery." At this time, Xiao Yu's mother served the fish soup. Han Fei tasted it. It was nothing special except for the fresh taste. "Mrs. He said, young man, you have to work hard. When you become a fishing master and become friends with Xiao Yu, his father will not object." Pft, cough cough, Xiao Yu blushed. "Mom, what? What are you talking about? Who would want to be friends with him? I'm going to cultivate." Xiao Yu ran upstairs, and Han Fei said to Mrs. He awkwardly, "Auntie, I'm leaving too." Mrs. He nodded. "Yes, it's not urgent. Cultivation is more important. Xiao Yu will go there in 2 days. The village leader will take her there. Han Fei. I heard her father mention you. In fact, you can go there too. Han Fei said, Auntie. Everyone has their own ambitions. I still have a lot of things to do in the Heavenly Water Village. I will definitely go, but not now. After leaving He Xiaoyu's house, Han Fei went straight home. The white fishing boat given by Fang Zhe was still tied to the cliff next to his house. Han Fei jumped on it and went straight to the sea. The tigers. Not long after Han Fei left. Young master, Han Fei is going to sea. Li Hu frowned. He's going to sea at night? Li Hu hesitated. Let Uncle Wolf go. It's a dark and windy night. A mere fisher dares to go out at night. He's looking for death. Yes, sir. Tisk, TSK. The boat used by city people is really different. It's fast and stable. I don't have to rent a boat at the port. It's better than a spiritual fruit. Coming to the sea, Han Fei thought for a while. The spirit-swallowing fish was a fish from the level 1 fishery. No fish in the ordinary fishery could kill them, right? He Xiaoyu said that only very special creatures or spiritual beasts could kill spiritual beasts. With a thought, Little Black and Little White appeared. Seeing the boundless sea, Little Black jumped into the sea without Han Fei's instruction. Han Fei said, Little Black, why are you in such a hurry? Come up first. However, it was useless. Little White also jumped into the sea. 2 little fish, one black and one white, jumped out of the sea and dived into the water, seeming to be playing. Han Fei covered his head. Other people have a fighting pet, but I have 2 cute pets. Suddenly, Han Fei frowned. He saw a blade fish jump out of the sea and go straight to Little White. Little White, be careful. In the blink of an eye, Little White left a white shadow in the sea and swam to the back of the blade fish, seeming to be very curious and observing this big fish. Little Black, on the other hand, wasn't that curious. He thought to himself, you want to eat Little White? I will eat you first. So Han Fei saw a shocking scene. Little Black rushed up and circled the blade fish many times, and then the blade fish became a string of bones. Shoot, is it so strong? That's a blade fish. You, a level 1 fish, gnawed it into bones. Is it really okay? Cold light flashed in the water. It was a shoddy fin knife falling into the water. Han Fei was about to fish this knife up, but Little Black rushed up again and bit the knife. Han Fei's mouth was wide open. What did he see? A knife was gnawed by Little Black. Little Black, come here. Little Black jumped out of the water and swam around Han Fei in the air. Han Fei found that this guy was fine. That's a knife. It's not fish meat. Doesn't it hurt my teeth? However, Little Black didn't seem to understand what Han Fei was talking about, or he didn't care even if he understood and jumped back into the water. Because it was his spiritual beast, Han Fei could sense that Little Black was still eating. What was he eating? He didn't know, but Han Fei found that his spiritual energy was increasing. Huh? Directly increasing my spiritual energy? Although it's not much, it's still there. Seeing March rise into the sky, Han Fei knew it was almost time. He immediately recalled Little Black and Little White and only allowed them to wander around him. Han Fei sat cross-legged and activated his cultivation technique. Suddenly, the surrounding spiritual energy surged, and wherever the bright moonlight fell, there seemed to be billowing spiritual energy. While Han Fei was cultivating, the surrounding sea was turbulent, and a large number of fish surfaced and occasionally rolled. Just like in the past, the moment the spiritual chi descended, no fish fought. Even the cruelest snake belt did not fight. They all absorbed the essence of heaven and earth as if they were on a pilgrimage. Little Black, who was restless and wanted to jump into the sea, also quieted down at this moment. He floated directly on both sides of Han Fei and slowly circled. The 2 points on their heads, one black and one white, were shining and seemed to be swallowing and spitting. However, the more he cultivated, Han Fei felt that he didn't seem to absorb as much spiritual energy as before. He opened his eyes, only to find that the gourd was flashing, little black and little white were sucking, and so were the fish in the sea. Han Fei smiled bitterly. So all the spiritual energy I attracted during my cultivation has been eaten by you. Fine, I'm the strongest one anyway. More than an hour later, the surface of the water gradually began to move. Some fish began to jump, and some little white fish jumped onto the boat and almost hit Han Fei. But Little Black rushed out at the moment when the little white fish jumped on, bit it a few times, and threw it into the sea. From time to time, more and more fish began to jump, but most of them were yellow fish and little white fish. Fish such as blade fish didn't intend to jump onto the boat. Perhaps because Little Black was more irritable and seemed to realize that his master was cultivating, anyone who dared to enter the deck was bitten to death by him. While they were chewing, Little Black and Little White's bodies suddenly flashed, and they advanced. Suddenly, Han Fei felt something. Little White collided with his body. He turned his head and looked down. In the distance, the shadow of a boat was looming. There are still people on the sea at this time. Are they coming for me? Chapter 71. Han Fei frowned. His first thought was that he was being followed, but he didn't stop cultivating. Well, if he stopped cultivating at this time, the sea would definitely riot. It was for this reason that he asked Fang Zhe for this high-end fishing boat. But there were always people who wanted to disturb him. Li Lang, one of the first old members of the Tigers who followed Li Ju, was very strong and was about to become an intermediate fishing master. He was definitely one of the top 5 masters in the Tigers. When he received this task, he was very disdainful and even promised Li Hu that he would chop off Han Fei's head within 2 hours. He felt that it was a bit insulting to ask him to deal with a little guy who was only a fisher. However, he also knew that boss and young master were very miserable because of this person, so he wanted to kill Han Fei as soon as possible. At this moment, Li Lang was only 500 meters away from Han Fei's fishing boat. Han Fei seemed to be cultivating and hadn't noticed him yet. Ha! The spiritual energy here seems to be stronger than in other places. Did that kid get some kind of opportunity? When Li Lang was 300 meters away from Han Fei, he heard the sound of something slapping under the boat. He looked down and found that many yellow fish and little white fish were hit by the boat. Fish? This kid is really lucky to find fish at night. When Li Lang was only 100 meters away from Han Fei's white fishing boat, he felt that something was wrong. No, it's not fish. The spiritual energy here is extremely strong. This kid must have obtained a rare treasure. No wonder he dares to go out at night. But in a moment, your treasure will belong to me. I can give your head to young master, but your treasure, haha. Just when Li Lang was about to approach Han Fei, he had already taken out his fishing rod and was about to pull Han Fei's white fishing boat directly to prevent it from escaping. But before he cast the fishing hook, he saw the white fishing boat rushing towards him. Damn it, you're courting death. Li Lang certainly didn't think his fishing boat was stronger than the one Fang Zhe gave to Han Fei. If the two collided, his fishing boat would definitely be damaged. Huh. My fishing boat may be damaged, but yours can't. Do you think you can kill me like this? You're dreaming. Li Lang retracted the fishing rod, carried it on his back, and picked up the long rod in his hand. It was an iron rod collected from the iron tree at the bottom of the ocean. It was on the same level as He Xiaoyu's bamboo rod and Han Fei's purple bamboo rod before he refined it. Ah! Li Lang was about to jump into Han Fei's boat, but what did he see in the next second? The surface of the sea was rioting. Hundreds and thousands of fish were leaping. He saw snake belts, dozens of blade fish, green turtles, and 2 tentacle lobsters. Li Lang's face changed drastically. Damn it, is this a small fish tide? Fishing masters were powerful, but that was relative. They might be very strong in a one-on-one fight, and no fish here could hurt them, but there were too many of them. The fish rioted and jumped out of the water. Han Fei hid in the cabin when he saw the fish jump, leaving the boat to crash. Bang! The bow of Li Lang's fishing boat was knocked askew and sawdust flew everywhere. At this moment, the fish tide came. They couldn't find Han Fei, but Li Lang was standing here, so they immediately swarmed towards him. At this time, Li Lang had no time to care about Han Fei and immediately rushed over with his rod. Han Fei opened the fish cabin a little bit and was observing. Ha! This person is so strong. Is he a fishing master? Han Fei saw Li Lang waved his hand and a green turtle was directly smashed and sent flying with gravel. 5 or 6 big fish shot out inferior fin blades, but they were easily blocked by Li Lang. While blocking, Li Lang also hit 2 of them hard with his stick. Humph, Li Lang grunted. He was hit by a blade fish that had lost its blade. Normally, it wouldn't hurt him, but a tentacle lobster crawled up behind him and whipped him on the back with its tentacle. Go to hell! With a flash of spiritual energy, the long rod in Li Lang's hand hit the lobster's head. Fuck, he's really a fishing master. In this situation, he can still fight in all directions. But how many can he beat? Li Lang was really embarrassed at the moment. If all the fish that jumped up were blade fish, tentacle lobsters, and so on, he was confident that he could easily kill them. But the point was that hundreds of little white fish and big yellow fish were also rushing at him. Damn it! It was meaningless to beat him because they couldn't kill him even if they hit him. But if he didn't fight them, they would block his sight. All he could see were little white fish and big yellow fish. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been whipped by the tentacle lobster. Li Lang roared angrily, Han Fei, you insidious little brat, how can you have a treasure that can create a small fish tide? Do you know how many people will chase you if I escape? You can try escaping. The boat is broken. How can you escape? Coward, how dare you hide in the fish cabin? Li Lang waved the long rod in his hand and the little white fish, big yellow fish, and green turtles were all whipped away. Ah! A knife flew past Li Lang's chest and suddenly Li Lang's chest was dripping with blood. When he rushed from his own boat to Han Fei's boat, he had been stabbed 4 times and his back was whipped by a tentacle lobster, which was burning. In addition, his face was also swollen because he was hit by a green turtle. Little Black, bite him. As soon as Li Lang stepped on the fishing boat, Han Fei immediately ordered Little Black to attack. Ah! Li Lang was very depressed. He felt that his calf was bitten by something and a bloody piece of flesh was bitten off. He wanted to find the thing that bit him, but there were only little white fish and big yellow fish under his feet. He thought it was a coincidence, but as soon as he took a step forward, he felt that his forearm was bitten and a piece of flesh was directly bitten off. What is it? Li Lang hurriedly activated a spiritual energy protective cover. At the moment when his whole body was filled with spiritual energy, Han Fei summoned Little Black back quickly. Han Fei sneered. This is the moment I've been waiting for. The fish cabin on the fishing boat was knocked open in an instant and Han Fei slashed at Li Lang with the purple bamboo rod. The purple bamboo rod flashed with spiritual energy and Han Fei shouted, "Explode!" Bam! Billowing air waves broke out between the two of them, directly sending hundreds of fish flying. Li Lang was blasted back 3 steps. At this moment, his arms were numb and he was shocked. No, Han Fei's strength is not right. Isn't Han Fei only a level 7 fisher? Are you kidding me? This is clearly the strength of an early-stage fishing master. Explode! As soon as Li Lang stood firm, Han Fei smashed him with the rod. Bam! Li Lang felt that his shoulders were heavy and his blood was boiling. The spiritual energy protective cover on his body finally exploded. After taking 2 spiritual energy explosions in a row, he finally couldn't hold it anymore. Han Fei sneered. You want to kill me? I'll exhaust you to death. However, even though Li Ju had suffered so many injuries, he still grabbed the fishing rod with one hand and slapped Han Fei fiercely. Han Fei was knocked away and hit a green turtle that was flying at him. Fortunately, the injury was not serious. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei activated a spiritual energy protective cover. Han Fei grinned. Brother, come and kill me. Li Lang's eyes were fierce. He quickly grabbed a spirit refilling pill and swallowed it. However, as soon as the spirit refilling pill entered his mouth, his stomach was bitten twice in a row and a large piece of flesh was bitten off. Damn, what's that? Li Lang hurriedly activated the spiritual energy protective cover again and covered his stomach with his clothes. He was afraid of that damn thing. He didn't know what had bitten him. However, as soon as he took care of it, he saw Han Fei sneer and the rod flashed with spiritual energy again. Is he going to use another spiritual energy explosion? Fuse. Just when Han Fei's rod was about to hit Li Lang roared and a shadow instantly covered Li Lang's body. Han Fei felt that the rod had hit Li Lang, but he felt a pain in his shoulder as if it had been pierced by something. Puff, Li Lang spurted blood. Even though he had fused with his spiritual beast, he still felt that half of his body was numb and his shoulder had collapsed after being hit by Han Fei. Han Fei was shaken back and quickly looked at his left shoulder, only to find that it was badly mutilated as if it had been pierced by a sharp sword. And Li Lang seemed to have become stronger. Bastard, do you know that my spiritual beast is a swordfish, the most aggressive fish in the level 1 fishery? I'm going to kill you. Chapter 72. Han Fei's eyes flickered, he quickly jumped back, swept away an inferior fin knife with his rod, and then grabbed the blade fish with one hand and threw it at Li Lang. The blade fish was torn apart by Li Lang, but at the moment he tore the blade fish, his palm was pierced. He turned his head and saw that it turned out to be a palm-sized dagger. It was just a small flying dagger that Han Fei made with an inferior fin knife when he first refined weapons. At that time, he laughed at it for being so small and not being able to use it well, but now it seemed that he could make use of hidden weapons in the future. Li Lang was very shocked. This kid really has a lot of tricks. First, he bit me with something, and then he used that dagger. Just when Li Lang was surprised, he saw Han Fei reach out and grab something. He subconsciously thought it was the same kind of dagger that pierced his palm just now. But the next second, he found that there was nothing at all. Explode. It was another spiritual energy explosion. Li Lang raised his rod to block it. He was shocked and angry. Does this guy really have endless spiritual energy? Didn't he say that after drinking the swallowed spirit soup, his spiritual energy would be transformed quickly? But there was no swallowed spirit soup for him to drink. How could he have so much spiritual energy? Clang, hundreds of fish around were shaken away again, and a tentacle lobster, which had just climbed halfway to the boat, fell into the water. Han Fei felt his body being stabbed again. This time it was his right hand. He quickly stepped back and looked at his right hand, only to find that it had been cut by a long wound. Little Black, bite him. Han Fei gritted his teeth and once again smashed Li Lang's spiritual energy protective cover. I don't believe you can keep using the spiritual energy protective cover all the time. Sure enough, in the next second, Li Lang was bitten on the back of his neck and another piece of flesh was bitten off. Li Lang was going crazy. What the hell is this? Once my spiritual energy protective cover is gone, I will be bitten. I've had enough. So Li Lang had to use the spiritual energy protective cover again. He knew that if he couldn't kill Han Fei this time, he would be killed. At this moment, on the white fishing boat on the surface of the sea, 2 people with glimmering bodies were fighting, making clanging noises. Han Fei was beaten back again and again, not because he was not strong enough, but because the guy opposite him seemed to be able to release sword energy and he had been cut many times. Bang! Han Fei flew backward and hit the fence, vomiting blood. Fine, fine, fine. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to fuse? Do you really think I don't know how? Han Fei was furious. He knew that the tigers wanted to kill him and that they had fishing masters, but he didn't expect that the tigers dared to send a fishing master to kill him at night. The ocean at night was regarded as a horrible place. Even fishing masters were reluctant to come, but they still came. And this person was not weak. If Han Fei guessed right, he might have been a junior fishing master before fusing with the swordfish, but after fusing with it, he might have temporarily become an intermediate fishing master. Little White and Little Black, fuse. It was not difficult for Han Fei to exhaust the opponent with a spiritual energy explosion, but in that kind of close combat, his spiritual energy protective cover couldn't block the opponent's sword energy, and he would be seriously injured. So although Han Fei hadn't tried to fuse with his spiritual beasts, he had to do it now. Even if Little Black and Little White were still low level and couldn't increase his strength much, they would at least improve his strength. The next moment, Han Fei saw the black and white colors in front of him turn and drill into his body like the Tai Chi yin-yang diagram. Roar! After fusing with his spiritual beasts, Li Lang subconsciously took a step back. What did he see? At this moment, one of Han Fei's eyes turned pure white in the dark, which meant that Han Fei had one black eye and one white eye. Li Lang had never seen such a weird scene and he was a little scared. Didn't they say that this guy's spiritual beast was just a spirit-swallowing fish? Why the fuck are you telling me this is a spirit-swallowing fish? At this moment, Han Fei felt that he had become a lot stronger. He probably had the strength of a level 9 fisher, which might not be a big deal for a fishing master. But Han Fei became extremely calm at this moment, and at the same time, he had a bloodthirsty desire in his heart. When he saw Li Lang, he had an impulse to bite him. In addition, the look in his eyes changed. Did the opponent slow down? Li Lang knew that if he didn't kill Han Fei now, he might not have a chance, so he made a prompt decision. Spiritual energy surged on the iron tree rod, and at the same time, he attached the last bit of spiritual energy to the iron tree rod. He didn't think that Han Fei could resist the spiritual energy explosion launched by a fishing master. But this time, surprisingly, Han Fei didn't use the spiritual energy explosion. When the iron tree rod was about to hit Han Fei suddenly twisted his body in a strange movement and dodged his attack in an instant. Puff! Li Lang only felt a pain in his chest, and then his strength seemed to be fading. The fusion gradually dissipated, and his strength fell directly. Li Lang looked down, only to see a knife in his chest. Han Fei's face was expressionless at the moment and he looked extremely calm. He looked at Li Lang, who was kneeling on the ground and gasping for breath, and suddenly opened his mouth and bit Li Lang's neck. One bite, another bite. Li Lang died in a panic, and his eyes were full of horror. However, Han Fei didn't cancel the fusion. Instead, he held the purple bamboo rod and began to hit the fish that wanted to jump onto the boat. The tentacle lobster that had been shaken out had just climbed onto the boat when a stick smashed down and smashed its head askew. After the time it took for half an incense to burn, when the boat was covered with corpses, Han Fei's face showed a look of struggle. Dispel. Fuse, BAM, Han Fei sat on the deck, gasping for breath. In front of him, two small fish, one black and one white, were happily swimming around him in the air. Han Fei threw himself on the ground and vomited. He knew everything. He knew that he had killed Li Lang. But at the moment he bit Li Lang to death, he felt extremely excited. Both his body and spirit were in a state of extreme excitement. He wanted to kill more and he wanted to savor that kind of pleasure. It's horrible. Little Black, what the hell are you? Han Fei knew that this was Little Black's masterpiece. This guy didn't like to absorb spiritual energy from the very beginning. He would bite any fish he saw. Although he was only at level 1, he still killed a blade fish. Now he had fused with it. At that moment, he only felt that his desire to kill soared. Han Fei decided that he would never fuse with it again unless it was a critical moment. Just now, he felt that he was crazy. Yes, like a madman, crazy and extremely excited. Although he knew that the situation was very bad, he still didn't want to cancel the fusion. After panting for a long time, Han Fei kicked the deadly Lang and rummaged around, only to find that there was nothing but a stick. This stick seemed to be of good quality. It was still intact after colliding with his purple bamboo rod. It should be a weapon of the same level as his purple bamboo rod. Throwing Li Lang's body into the sea, Han Fei completely cleaned up the boat and absorbed all the spiritual energy he needed. Now his spiritual energy had exceeded 22,000 points. After a little hesitation, Han Fei chose to make a breakthrough immediately. Otherwise, if there was another master similar to Li Lang, he might not be able to defeat him. If there were 2 of them, he would definitely die. Little black, little white, protect me by my side. Looking at the 2 small fish happily circling around him, Han Fei smiled bitterly. Do you know that you 2 almost drove your master crazy? Breakthrough. Han Fei's spiritual energy surged wildly and his momentum was constantly rising. Gotcha! In just a moment, Han Fei had made a breakthrough. Of course, he was still far from the peak of level 9, so his spiritual energy was still surging. After more than an hour, Han Fei opened his eyes. Phew! My realm was too low and my strength was too low. My strength has increased by thousands of kilograms after making a breakthrough. Han Fei got up and found that the wounds on his body had begun to scab. Although the recovery speed was not as fast as last time, it was still quite fast. He didn't know whether it was because of the breakthrough or something else. He looked at his own data again. Owner Han Fei level A9, Advanced Fisher, spiritual energy greater than 1023, 399, spiritual heritage level 3, low quality, upgradable, spiritual beast, twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish weapon purple bamboo rod main art avoid fishing, chapter 1, hook kiss, mortal level, divine quality. Chapter 73. When Han Fei saw that there were only 1023 points of spiritual energy left, he breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried that his spiritual energy would not be enough, but now it seemed that it was enough. However, it was certain that the consumption of spiritual energy was increasing every time he advanced. He was sure that he would need 30,000 or even 40,000 points to advance to a peak-level fisher next time. He was a little hesitant whether to continue to cultivate the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body polishing or continue to cultivate. Although he broke through to level 9 this time, he felt that his upper limit of spiritual energy was a little less. He seemed to have encountered a small bottleneck and needed to cultivate the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body polishing to help him break through. Forget it. The tigers won't give up so easily. I'm afraid the spiritual energy is too little. At the same time, the tigers. Young master, Li Lang has been gone for 3 hours. Li Hu waved his hand. It's possible that he didn't find Han Fei. Even the ordinary fishery is thousands of miles wide. It's not easy to find a person. Tell all the peak-level masters below the fishing master level of the tigers to go to the ordinary fishery tomorrow and patrol the white fishing boats there. Yes, young master. Li Hu sneered. Han Fei, are you stupid? You asked the angel for a white fishing boat. This is undoubtedly the brightest star in the night sky. It's hard not to find you. Early the next morning, as Han Fei's cultivation came to an abrupt end, the sea suddenly surged. Even though he had reached level 9, Han Fei still hid in the fish cabin. Even a fishing master like Li Lang was embarrassed. Han Fei was afraid that he wouldn't fare better than Li Lang. Half an hour later, After Han Fei threw a piece of fish corpse into the sea, he frowned and looked at his spiritual energy, which was only 4,620 points. No way. It's too little, less than 5,000 points. If I encounter a master like Li Lang again, I'll have to consume at least 2,000 points to kill him. If there are two of them, I won't have enough spiritual energy. Little Black, go to the sea and eat by yourself. I don't care what you do. Eat until you reach level 3 today. As soon as Little Black heard this, he immediately rushed into the water. At this time, Han Fei was already at the edge of the ordinary fishery 800 kilometers away. This place was uninhabited. He was now a level 9 fisher, which was much stronger than before. If he went to the bottom of the sea this time, maybe he could give it a try. Suddenly, Han Fei was shocked by his bold idea. A fisherman wanted to go to the bottom of the sea to collect spiritual energy. If other fishing masters knew this, they would probably slap him to death. I'm going all out. Wealth comes from danger. When I was an ordinary person, I dared to play with sharks in the shallow sea without a diving suit. Why have I become so timid here? Immediately, Han Fei jumped into the sea with a splash. As soon as he entered the sea, he activated the Wandering Dragon art and saw that Little Black was gnawing on a snake belt, and Little White was circling around it. Are you really that tough? You guys are only level 2. As if noticing Han Fei's arrival, Little White swam over and seemed to be asking, Master, why are you here? Little Black also swam over awkwardly. Didn't you say you would let me eat it? Did you come down to catch me? Han Fei held the purple bamboo rod in his right hand, the blade fish dagger on his waist, and the fine iron fishing rod on his back, and swam straight to the bottom of the sea. A blade fish wanted to swim over to see what was so big that it didn't have a knife. However, before it got close, it felt it was bitten. It hurriedly struggled and tried to find the guy who attacked it, but after swimming around several times, it found that there was nothing at all. Then its tail was gone, and then its stomach was gone. Han Fei really wanted to smack his lips. An invisible creature was biting you all the time. Isn't it horrible? Just like Li Lang, who was bitten all over and couldn't find who bit him at all. As Han Fei dove in, there were even schools of fish swimming towards him and circling around him several times. No matter how powerful Little Black was, he only had one mouth and couldn't eat so many fish. But when the fish in the school found that one of their companions had inexplicably become a skull, they all ran away. This time in the sea, the danger Han Fei encountered was not as strong as the last time. Although the snake belts swam over occasionally, Han Fei was no longer afraid at this moment. However, once he killed a fish in the sea, it would always attract a school of fish, which was very troublesome. Han Fei had to escape before he had time to absorb much spiritual energy. At the bottom of the sea, Han Fei didn't see coral reefs this time, only gray mud and some protruding stones. As an experienced fisherman, Han Fei knew very well how many horrors were hidden under the mud. Damn it, why did I encounter such a damn place? There are no coral reefs. Where can I find the opportunity? At this moment, Han Fei was floating 5 or 6 meters above the mud, his body as agile as a swimming fish, and Little Black and Little White were beside him to protect him. In the distance, 2 snake belts swam over quickly. Han Fei's eyes lit up. In the cold seawater, Han Fei was a heat source and soon attracted the attention of the tropical fish. At the same time, under those stones, some big green crabs began to show up. Poochie! After a snake belt rushed at him crazily, Han Fei twisted his body in a weird way, pulled out the blade fish dagger from his waist, and killed the snake belt. On the other side, Little Black was staring at a snake belt and biting it. It was struggling up and down and its body was almost twisted like a fried dough twist, but it had no idea what was biting it. Before the snake belt could escape, it was bitten in half by Little Black and fell straight down. As soon as the 2 snake belts died, there was movement in the mud. For a moment, it seemed that hundreds of sticks suddenly jumped out of the mud, which really gave Han Fei a fright. Shoot, sea snakes. Name: green-scaled sea snake, level 7, quality regular, spiritual energy greater than 21 points. Effect: long-term drinking of snake blood can replenish one's chi and blood and strengthen one's physique. Collectible: a green-scaled sea snake gallbladder. Han Fei hurriedly floated up a little. His scalp was numb when he saw them. The tails of these sea snakes were rooted in the soil. Once prey came, they would swarm out like sticks. If it weren't for the fact that their heads were curved and ready to attack the enemy at any time, he might have been fooled. Have I entered a nest of snakes? Han Fei's face was black. He didn't know where to start. They didn't come out, and he didn't dare to go down. While Han Fei was hesitating, he saw Little Black rush over and bite a sea snake in half. Yes. How could I forget this guy? These sea snakes can't see Little Black. This guy can crawl into the snake hole and eat slowly. So, Han Fei kept floating in the air, occasionally hunting one or two snake belts, absorbing their spiritual energy, and throwing them to the bottom of the sea. As a result, the situation became more and more chaotic, and the number of sea snakes in the nest was decreasing. Even the big green crabs under the stones came one after another to share the remains of the sea snakes. Soon, the smell of blood here began to grow stronger. Han Fei saw spinning starfish flying at him like darts, and hermit crabs with snail shells on their backs emerging from the soil in all directions. The sea snakes seemed to be irritated. We don't fucking eat you shelled ones. But now you're attacking us. That's too much. So a battle began. More and more snake belts appeared in the distance. Green turtles swam over, blade fish flashed by, and ironhead fish hatchlings came. For a moment, cold light flashed and collisions kept happening. Han Fei saw that the calabash on his wrist was already shining as if it was swallowing spiritual energy. And not just the calabash, Little White was also swallowing spiritual energy around the bloody scene like an elf in the water. Huh. It can absorb spiritual energy from 20 meters away. Immediately, Han Fei swam to a stone with a weird expression, letting the calabash slowly absorb spiritual energy. Occasionally, the snake belts came to attack him, but they were no match for him. The battle was already very fierce. This area was full of debris, and Han Fei could occasionally see Little Black shuttling under the water. Suddenly, Han Fei frowned. According to the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants, snake fruits would be born in the gathering place of sea snakes, especially the green-scaled sea snakes. This snake fruit was a spiritual fruit on the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants. Snake fruit was a low-level spiritual fruit. Because the snake nest had not moved for a long time, the saliva of all the sea snakes would mix and nourish a kind of accompanying spiritual fruit. Eating it could obtain a small amount of spiritual energy to heal internal injuries. But its core value was alchemy. The snake pills refined from the snake fruit had strong recovery power and a lot of spiritual energy. Little White, Little White, Little White swam to Han Fei while swallowing and spitting. Han Fei pointed to the ground and said, Little White, go and see if there is a kind of dark green fruit. If there is, bring it to me. Don't eat it yourself. In the blink of an eye, Whitey disappeared into the soil. Chapter 74. After about half an hour, Little White swam back to Han Fei with a bunch of snake fruits in its mouth. It was so happy that it couldn't close its mouth. It didn't expect that learning the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants could bring such benefits. Looking at the green-scaled snake fruit in his hand, a string of data appeared. Name: green-scaled snake fruit. Introduction: it grows on green-scaled sea snakes and has been nourished by the community for a long time. It can increase the spiritual energy of the snake nest, but the effect is average. Level: low-level spiritual fruit. Equality: poor. It contains spiritual energy greater than 500 points. Effect: eating it directly can increase a small amount of spiritual energy. Fishers can improve their physique, but not for fishing masters. There were 7 or 8 snake fruits in this bunch, but they were only the size of a thumb, while the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants said that the snake fruits seemed to be the size of a fist. Was it because these sea snakes were too low-level? Yes, this was just an ordinary fishery. How could there be so many treasures? Otherwise, all fishing masters would come to ordinary fisheries to hunt. Han Fei swallowed them one at a time. Alchemy was out of the question. Not to mention that he didn't know alchemy, even if he didn't have the time to do it. About half an hour later, the fighting nearby didn't seem to stop. The sea snakes had been killed, and crabs were running rampant all over the ground. Some of them were fighting fiercely for the remains of the sea snakes. The iron-head fish directly bumped into the crabs, broke the crab shells, and ate the crab yolk inside. Snake belts didn't work here at all. Han Fei saw some snake belts swim in, but in a few seconds, they were cut into countless pieces by the dense crab pincers and then thrown into the crab's mouth. But in the past half an hour, Han Fei had absorbed nearly 5,000 points of spiritual energy. This was the bottom of the sea, where danger and opportunity coexisted. Hiss! Han Fei suddenly felt a pain in his leg and subconsciously slapped it. Looking down, he found that his hand was covered with blood. Fuck, what the hell is this? Name a marching sea leeches level a 1 quality irregular. It contains spiritual energy, a 1-point introduction, a seabed mollusk that can be used as bait. When the sea leeches breed, they need a lot of food, so they often march across the sea, leaving nothing behind. When the sea leeches marched, they were invincible in the level 3 fishery and below. Han Fei's expression changed drastically. He was holding a finger-long water locust in one hand. The insect was slippery, and Han Fei slapped it to death, leaving behind a puddle of blood and a pile of mucus. Fuck! Han Fei's heart suddenly trembled. He hurriedly looked back, only to find that dozens of leeches were drifting along the river. Behind them was a black mass of water leeches. Han Fei almost peed his pants. If there were hundreds or thousands of them, they might have been eaten up by the fish along the way in minutes. But the army water leeches were like desert army ants, moving out in large numbers, leaving a mess wherever they passed. Run! Little black, little white, run! No longer caring about these fighting fish, Han Fei shot out like a rocket, not daring to stay for even half a day. Even a fishing master would be sucked dry in minutes if he was surrounded by the marching sea leeches. Han Fei activated the wandering dragon art and quickly slipped away. As for Little Black, although it followed Han Fei, it swallowed a marching sea leech from time to time. You foodie, why are you still eating at a time like this? Not to mention that you are invisible, the black mass of marching sea leeches will eat you no matter if you are invisible or not. Let's go. When Han Fei turned his head again, the crab, blade fish, and ironhead fish that were fighting just now had disappeared and were directly covered by the marching sea leeches. Fuck, so fast. Han Fei accelerated, and at the same time, he activated a spiritual energy protective cover and swam to the sea surface. Plop! Han Fei jumped out of the water and found that his white fishing boat seemed to be a kilometer away, so he quickly got into the water and rushed to the fishing boat. But as soon as Han Fei dove into the water, he saw a group of marching sea leeches hundreds of meters away. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Damn! My fishing boat is at the other end of the marching sea leeches. Han Fei almost burst into tears. Damn it! Without a fishing boat, am I going to compete with the marching sea leeches in swimming? Without a second of hesitation, he still had the wandering dragon art. The marching sea leeches might not be able to swim faster than him. Han Fei swam crazily in the opposite direction of his fishing boat. Han Fei regretted running 800 kilometers out of the sea. If it was a crowded place, he could jump on someone else's boat, but now he was being chased by a group of weak insects. Of course, Han Fei was not the only one who was running away crazily. Around Han Fei, blade fish were running wildly on the water, and little white fish and big yellow fish were far behind him. Han Fei even saw a big meat turtle emerging from the water and running away, but the big meat turtle seemed to feel that it was too slow, so it shrank its head into its shell. Han Fei was amused. You think you'll be fine if you hide in your shell? You'll become a shell in a moment. At this time, no fish attacked Han Fei. After all, between eating and escaping was definitely more important. Even fish knew this truth. Dozens of kilometers away, dozens of fishing boats were slowly sailing over. Li Hu's face was gloomy. How can Han Fei defeat Uncle Wolf? Tang Gu must have left some tricks for him. Someone stood behind Li Hu and said, "Young master, Li Lang's boat is full of scars. It seems that he has encountered a small fish tide. Maybe it's not Han Fei." Idiot! Can a small fish tide in ordinary fisheries kill a fishing master? Besides, Uncle Wolf has the combat power of an intermediate fishing master after fusing with the swordfish. How can the demonic fish in ordinary fisheries kill him? Li Hu was furious. A fishing master. Fishing masters were very precious. The tigers only had 5 fishing masters in total, and now one of them had gone to the Heavenly Water Village. Suddenly, a member of the tigers shouted, "Young master, we seem to have encountered a shoal of fish." Someone looked into the distance, pointed to the sea in the distance, and said excitedly. For fishermen, encountering a shoal of fish was a good thing. Almost every fisherman hoped that they could encounter a shoal of fish every day. Li Hu was slightly taken aback. Could it be that the closer they were to the border, the luckier they would be? But he still shook his head and said, "Don't forget our purpose. Find Han Fei and kill him. Uncle Wolf is dead. Han Fei can't be safe and sound. Otherwise, he would have returned to the village long ago." Not long after, the fleet led by Li Hu met the shoal of fish. Most of these fish were floating on the surface of the water and swimming quickly, showing no intention of stopping at all. Someone looked at the water and wondered, have you found that there seems to be something wrong with this shoal of fish? They don't seem to be of the same species, do they?" Someone pointed to the sea. "What's that over there?" "There is a strange big fish jumping on the water. It looks a bit like a swordfish." "Strange, how can there be swordfish in ordinary fisheries?" Suddenly, someone shouted, "Not good, this is not a shoal of fish foraging. This is a shoal of fish escaping. Something is chasing them." Before this person finished shouting, another person shouted, "Look, that is not a swordfish, that is a person." Everyone was stunned. "Are you fucking kidding me? Someone is swimming in the sea. Does he want to swim to the sky?" However, following the gaze of that member of the tigers, everyone found that it was indeed a figure, but this person swam faster than many fish. Then everyone looked behind that person and saw a dark mass. They didn't know what it was. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Run! Young master, run, it's the marching sea leeches." All of a sudden, the fleet was in an uproar, and everyone was terrified. How could there be marching sea leeches in ordinary fisheries? Weren't marching sea leeches only encountered in the level 1 fishery with a very small chance, and most of them appeared in the level 2 fishery? Li Hu also panicked at this time. He didn't care where Han Fei was anymore. He immediately shouted for everyone to run. Han Fei thought that he would definitely not be able to outrun the marching sea leeches. After all, he was not a real fish and couldn't swim endlessly. But at this moment, he saw hope. When he saw the fishing boat, he immediately activated his spiritual energy protective cover and his speed suddenly soared. Swish! Before the fleet began to escape, Han Fei hooked the stern railing with his fish hook. His whole body glided quickly on the water, and while gliding, he shouted at the people on the boat, "Run, the marching sea leeches are coming." The members of the tigers who were about to run were all stunned. Li Hu was also stunned. He looked back. This was clearly Han Fei. Han Fei was also dumbfounded. "Li Hu. In an instant, Han Fei realized that this was probably the fleet that came to kill him. Ha, it's really interesting. My enemy has finally met. Bam, Han Fei landed on a fishing boat, and before Li Hu said anything, he had already smashed at one of the masters of the tigers with his rod. Clang, the level 9 fisher reacted quickly and quickly blocked Han Fei's blow, thinking that he might be able to kill this person quickly to claim credit from the young master. But as soon as the two rods collided, this person felt a strong force hit him. The rod was directly bent and his internal organs seemed to be broken. Pooh, Han Fei didn't care about anything else at this time. He grabbed this person with one hand and threw him into the sea. No, young master, save me, Li Hu shouted, kill him for me. Li Hu roared at the others while controlling the fishing boat in a panic, preparing to take off. There was naturally more than one person on this fishing boat, and 3 people had already rushed towards Han Fei. You're courting death. Explode. Chapter 75. Han Fei blasted out a spiritual energy explosion skill, but everyone here knew how to use a simple combat skill like spiritual energy explosion skill. So at the moment when he launched the spiritual energy explosion skill, the 3 level 9 fishers on the opposite side roared at the same time and also launched the spiritual energy explosion skill. Fuck, Han Fei was knocked out of the fishing boat by this blow, and the 3 people were all sent flying backward. The huge force of the collision of the spiritual energy explosion skill set off a gust of wind. In mid-air, less than 100 meters behind Han Fei, the marching sea leeches had already arrived. If they fell into the water, they would be dried up soon. Swish, in a flash, Han Fei cast the hook kiss technique and directly hung on Li Hu's fishing boat that had already taken off. Pulling the fishing boat hard, Han Fei flew towards Li Hu's fishing boat. Young master, be careful. Protect young master. On Li Hu's boat, there were as many as 5 people protecting him, all of whom were level 9 fishers. Before Han Fei boarded the boat, he saw the 5 people blocking the bow of the boat. Fuck, Han Fei was not afraid of these 5 people. None of them had the strength of a fishing master. If they fought on the ground, he would definitely beat them. After all, he was also a level 9 who could kill a fishing master. But after all, he was in the air and had no leverage. If the 5 people launched a spiritual energy explosion skill again, he would only be knocked into the sea. Little bastard Li Hu, if I don't die, I'll kill you. Han Fei roared, retracted his fishing rod, and hooked directly at the fishing boat with the fewest people below. No matter how few people there were still 3 people on that fishing boat, but there was still one person controlling the fishing boat. Li Hu shouted, Han Fei, you're dead. Although you won't die in my hands, I'll be very happy to see you being sucked dry by the marching sea leeches, ha ha ha. Han Fei didn't say a word. 2 fishing boats that had not had time to take off were already crawling with marching sea leeches. The purple bamboo rod in Han Fei's hand flickered again, and he was ready to launch a spiritual energy explosion skill. Little Black, bite him. The 2 people who were about to intercept Han Fei looked confused. Who is Little Black? Suddenly, one of them felt something bite on his thigh. He thought that the marching sea leeches had boarded the ship. He was so scared that he quickly looked down. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up, and a flying knife flashed in his hand. Ah, before that person could raise his head, the spiritual explosion had already exploded, sending the 2 of them flying. Blood spurted everywhere, and the person who was bitten had a flying dagger stuck in his eye. Hey! You shouldn't have let me on board. Kill, explode, the man who was controlling the fishing boat panicked. Is this the loser that young master said he was? Cripple my ass. Can a piece of trash cripple 2 level 9 fishers with one blow? How could a piece of trash continuously use such powerful spiritual energy explosions? After another wild strike, one of the level 9 fishers was blown away and fell into the sea. Save me! Before he could finish his sentence, the man was covered with water leeches. In the blink of an eye, the man's face quickly shriveled up. The other person was already heavily injured and both his arms were broken. Han Fei easily poked him into the sea without even looking at him. The only remaining fisherman changed his expression greatly and shouted at Han Fei, "If you dare to come over, I will drive the fishing boat into the sea." Han Fei gritted his teeth and wanted to bite that guy to death, but he still looked calm on the surface. "I can spare your life. You can use your fishing rod to go to other fishing boats. How about that?" The man's face darkened. He glanced around and his face turned cold. There were only 5 fishing boats that had time to take off just now, among which Li Hu's flew the highest and ran the furthest. The remaining 3 fishing boats were 100 meters away from him. If he didn't use the fishing rod well, he would fall into the water. "How dare he?" The man said solemnly, "Even if I escape, I will die. The tigers won't let me go. Instead of that, I might as well die with you. Maybe the tigers will treat my family well." Han Fei said coldly, "Are you stupid? If you die, are you sure Li Ju will treat your family well? If you really die, with the tiger's unscrupulous habits, your women will be enjoyed by others, your children will be educated by others, and your stepfather may kick and abuse him. You will kill me anyway. What can I do?" The man roared, his eyes red. Han Fei said, "Who said I will kill you? Do you know Li Gang? He is the guy who tried to kill me twice but failed. I gave him a chance to follow me. Look at him now. He is in charge of the world's most delicious barbecue restaurant in the Port Bazaar and earns millions of mid-quality pearls every day. I believe it won't be long before he becomes very rich. Since I can take him in, why can't I take you in?" The man froze and seemed to be struggling. Obviously, he knew Li Gang and knew that Li Gang was living a good life now, so he was a little tempted. Han Fei quickly struck while the iron was hot. "Let me tell you. Li Ju is now seriously injured and half of his strength has been lost. Li Hu is a good-for-nothing. It's easy for me to kill him. A month and a half ago, I was still a level 2 fisher, but now I can kill level 9 fishers as easily as killing yellow fish. It won't be long before I destroy the tigers. If you don't follow me now, you will die in the future. Don't you know what to do?" At this time, Li Hu's fishing boat was looking at this side in the air hundreds of meters away. He seemed to be shouting something, but the distance was not close and his voice was poured into the wind, so he could only vaguely hear that Li Hu asked this man to kill Han Fei. Han Fei smiled. "Look, this is your young master. He would rather die than let you kill me. But why doesn't he come himself? Because he doesn't dare to. Once I board the boat, he will definitely die. What's your choice?" The man struggled hard. Looking at the black mass of leeches below, he finally took a breath and looked at Han Fei. "Can you promise not to kill me?" Han Fei said, "Do you believe me? You have no choice, but I am not a murderous person. Otherwise, I would have killed Li Hu in the fishing trial. He wouldn't be chasing me now." The man finally asked, "Did you kill fishing master Li Lang?" Han Fei asked, "Li Lang? The fishing master who came to kill me last night?" "Yes, I killed him." "Okay, I promise you. The marching sea leeches will soon pass." "Young master. There are still 13 level 9 fishers on Li Hu's side. How can you and I survive?" Han Fei said, "Fly over there. The fishing boat given to me by Angel Fang Zhe is over there. As long as we get on my fishing boat, no one can catch up with us." "Okay." The man immediately controlled the fishing boat to fly to Han Fei's white fishing boat, not daring to stay for a moment. From this moment on, he had betrayed the tigers. The only thing he could do was to grab Han Fei's thigh. How terrifying his potential was to be able to kill a fishing master, but Han Fei was only a level 9 fisher. The middle-aged man remembered what Li Hu said before he came, saying that Han Fei was only a level 7 fishing master. At this moment, he really wanted to slap Li Hu in the face. What a fool. Don't you know what kind of enemy you have offended? Han Fei asked, what's your name? The middle-aged man answered, I am Li Qing. Han Fei waved his hand. Don't call yourself my subordinate in front of me, and I won't treat you as my subordinate. When this matter is over, you can go to the most delicious barbecue stall with Li Gang. I will give you 10% of the profits. Huh? The middle-aged man seemed to be a little shocked. 10% of the profits? He knew how rich Li Gang was. He could earn 10 mid-quality pearls a day at most. He was the envy of many members of the Tigers. They all said that the fatty had become a phoenix from a pheasant. Li Qing's face changed. Not good, they are coming. Han Fei smiled and said, don't worry. So what? We are all level 9 fishers. Who can catch up with who? After a while, Han Fei saw his white fishing boat. At this moment, the marching sea leeches had passed, but the white fishing boat was also covered with a layer of sea leeches. Han Fei said, let's rush over. Without the army of sea leeches, these insects are nothing. Li Qing nodded. The two jumped onto the white fishing boat in an instant. Han Fei shook off a swarm of sea leeches with his spiritual energy and immediately controlled the fishing boat to leave quickly. 100 meters behind him, Li Hu was roaring angrily. Li Qing, you're courting death. How dare you betray the Tigers? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your whole family. Seeing Li Qing's angry face, Han Fei smiled and said, that's all he can do. Or, we can actually keep them here, shall we? Chapter 76. Li Qing was shocked. How can you do that? They have 14 people including Li Hu. Even if you have the strength to kill a fishing master, once you are pinned down, the consequences are unknown. Han Fei nodded. Yes, there are a lot of people. I guess you don't know how good the quality of my fishing boat is. Huh? With a touch of madness in his eyes, the white fishing boat suddenly rose into the air, turned around, and directly crashed into one of the fishing boats. Li Qing was horrified. How could a boat crash into another? Han Fei said, be ready to take over the fishing boat at any time. If they dare to jump onto my boat, I will let them know why the coral is so red. On Li Hu's side, the 4 fishing boats were chasing frantically. Seeing the white fishing boat running farther and farther away, they almost gave up. Who would have thought that the white fishing boat suddenly turned around and rushed straight at them? On one of the fishing boats, someone exclaimed, not good, he is going to crash into us. The 3 of them all thought that Han Fei was crazy. Once the keel of the boat was broken, they could only wander on the sea. But they immediately realized that this was not a garbage fishing boat from the Heavenly Water Village at all. It was a fishing boat from the legendary city, which was prepared for going to the unknown place outside the level 3 fishery. Could it be on the same level as their fishing boat? Before they had time to think about it, the white fishing boat quickly crashed into them like a big bird. Biem, Han Fei shouted, Li Qing, take over. Li Qing immediately took over the control of the white fishing boat. At this time, there was no turning back. Since the moment he took Han Fei to escape, he had already betrayed the Tigers, and the Tigers would not let him go. Fortunately, this white fishing boat was really fierce. With just one hit, it smashed a big hole in the other's fishing boat, and even the keel was bent. Not good, go up and kill this guy. Except for the person who controlled the fishing boat who fell to the sea with the boat, the other 2 jumped into the air, trying to board Han Fei's fishing boat. But Han Fei sneered. How did you treat me just now? Now you still want to board my boat? Go down. Fly. Dive into the 100-meter-high sky. Explode. With a loud explosion, the spiritual energy vibrated, the airflow surged, and the 2 fell uncontrollably to the sea. No. Seeing this scene, Li Hu was furious and said to the other 2 fishing boats, "Let's go together and see how he deals with 3 fishing boats alone." Han Fei quickly turned around. "Li Qing, find a random ship and crash into it." In fact, before Han Fei shouted, Li Qing had already controlled the fishing boat to crash into the fishing boat furthest away. The 3 people on the fishing boat were anxious. They were the furthest away and not as fast as the white fishing boat. If they crashed into the white fishing boat, they would definitely die. "Run, do you think you can run away?" 100 meters away, Li Hu roared, "Land! Land on the surface of the sea. We'll deal with him together." Han Fei's eyes turned cold and he said to Li Qing, "Kill these 3 people first." Bang! The 2 fishing boats collided again. This time, the collision was very accurate. It hit directly at the place where the controller was, leaving a big hole in the bow. As a result, the fishing boat fell uncontrollably. At this moment, the people controlling the fishing boat also gave up, and the 3 of them swung their sticks at Han Fei's fishing boat. "Little Black, bite me." One of them suddenly lost a piece of flesh on his neck. He paused in the air and then fell straight to the sea. Ah! The other 2 were horrified, but what greeted them was a spiritual energy explosion. They couldn't resist it at all. The 2 were directly sent flying and fell into the water. Unfortunately, at this time, Li Hu and the other fishing boat had already landed. The 2 fishing boats joined together and chased after the falling place. Han Fei sighed. "It's a pity. If we were faster, we could have killed one more." Li Qing felt a chill down his spine. "How many more do you want to kill? We sent a dozen boats and 40 or 50 people to chase you, but how many are left now?" There were only 8 people on the 2 fishing boats including Li Hu. The elites of the tigers were almost wiped out. "Don't you think that's enough?" At this time, he saw a person emerge from the water. Fuck, he actually swam up. Han Fei was speechless. This person was so lucky that he could still swim back after falling into the sea. But thinking about it, although the other party was injured, it was hard to say how many fish were in the sea at this moment. After all, the marching sea leeches had just passed by. However, even if this person climbed onto the boat, Han Fei saw that the person was stuck to a large number of leeches and almost sucked dry. The marching sea leeches had just passed by, so there would naturally be some leeches left. There were countless leeches floating in the sea under their feet. If a person fell into the sea, he would be lucky if he was not sucked dry. Li Qing asked, "What should we do now?" Han Fei said, "Follow them. Don't give them a chance to escape. Once they disperse, hit them directly." Li Qing was silent. It seemed that Han Fei was determined to kill Li Hu. But Li Qing also had this thought. If Li Hu went back, he would have a hard time. He was different from Li Gang, who had been kicked out of the tigers, while he had betrayed the tigers. They were completely different in nature. "Young master, what should we do? Our fishing boats can't withstand the collision of that white fishing boat at all. If we separate now, I'm afraid we will be killed one by one." Li Hu's face was gloomy. "What if we take off at the same time and fly back to the village?" Someone analyzed, "Young master, this is not a good idea. I think Han Fei is not weak. I'm afraid that he has already reached the peak of level 9. Once he really hits us and then leaves, it's impossible for all of us to jump onto his boat in a short time. I'm afraid that half of us will die." Li Hu suggested, "Go to the central fishery, where there are many people, and find the inspector." Han Fei stood at the bow of the boat, not in a hurry at all. He was looking at the sun in the sky, wondering if he would be burned to death if he attracted spiritual energy at this time. This idea just flashed in his mind and he gave up. He would probably be barbecued in less than 3 seconds with that kind of pain. "Little Black, do you see those 2 boats? Go bite them. Bite them to death." Han Fei secretly chuckled. Even fishing master Li Lang couldn't resist Little Black's sharp teeth. How could a few level 9 fishers resist it? Little Black swam out quickly, and after a while, someone howled on Li Hu's side. At first, it was only one person howling, but then more and more people howled. Han Fei stood at the bow of the boat and sneered. Protect your body with spiritual energy. If you don't protect your body with spiritual energy, you'll be bitten to death. Sure enough, after a while, Han Fei saw that someone's body was filled with spiritual energy. At first, it was one, then two, and finally everyone was filled with spiritual energy. Even Li Hu, who hadn't activated his spiritual energy, had a few pieces of flesh bitten off. Li Qing's heart trembled. He didn't know what kind of demonic technique Han Fei used to attack those people from hundreds of meters away and even make them activate their spiritual energy protective covers regardless of the spiritual energy. He knew that he had discovered Han Fei's secret. At this time, he must not say a word, or he would be killed. Standing on the bow of the boat, Tiger on the Road roared, Han Fei, what kind of demonic technique did you use? It's so vicious. Han Fei responded, do you want to know? Come and beg me. In less than half an hour, someone over there ran out of spiritual energy and couldn't maintain a spiritual energy protective cover anymore, and then someone screamed. What the hell is biting me? Why can't I see it? This person waved his stick around, but the next moment, a piece of flesh was bitten off his wrist. An hour later, 2 people were bitten to death by Little Black. One was the guy who climbed up after falling into the water, and the other was the only level 8 fisher brought out by Li Hu this time. Han Fei said lightly, there are still 7 people. If 2 more die, you won't be able to go back. Li Qing listened to Han Fei talking to himself and didn't dare to say a word, for fear that Han Fei would go back on his word and kill him. After a while, Li Qing stammered, Young Master Han Fei, I am running out of spiritual energy. Li Qing was helpless. If it were an ordinary fishing boat, he could control it for such a long time, but this was not an ordinary fishing boat. It consumed spiritual energy very fast. However, Han Fei waved his hand casually and a column of spiritual energy poured into his body. For a moment, Li Qing felt that his spiritual energy was rapidly recovering. Li Qing was shocked. What the hell is this? Spirit gatherer. Han Fei said, don't let others know about this for the time being. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. Li Qing quickly lowered his head. Yes, I will keep my mouth shut and never tell anyone, not even my wife and children. Chapter 77. Li Qing was trembling. The entire Heavenly Water Village knew where Han Fei got the spirit concentration art. It was given by Feng Zhe after the fishing trial. But how long had it been since the fishing trial ended? How could he have mastered it? At this time, Li Qing really wanted to slap those who said Han Fei was a good-for-nothing. If Han Fei was still a good-for-nothing, what kind of genius was he? At this moment, he was extremely glad that he betrayed the tigers. Otherwise, he would have been lying in the sea and fed to the sea leeches. Han Fei was not in a hurry at all. He looked at Li Hu with a smile and said, the fishing trial should tell us the cruelty of the ocean, right? Huh? Li Qing didn't know what Han Fei meant by this, but he faintly felt a little scared. At this time, the fishing boat had already approached the central fishery. In the distance, fishing boats had appeared one after another, and occasionally a fishing boat flew by in the sky. Han Fei said, Hey! There may be a glimmer of hope if I fly to the sky. But what if you lead me to the central area? Not far away. On Li Hu's 2 fishing boats, the spiritual energy protective covers of some people went out, but Li Hu's was always full of spiritual energy. He must have taken a lot of spirit refilling pills. Li Qing, hit it. Li Hu asked, No more waiting. After all, killing people is not something worth watching. Let's go. Without saying a word, Li Hu operated the fishing boat and began to hit it at full speed. Just when Han Fei was about to start, Li Hu roared, "Abandon the boat." Han Fei held the purple bamboo rod and sneered. "What an idiot! If abandoning the boat is useful, why did I wait so long?" Li Hu abandoned a fishing boat, and all 7 people gathered on a fishing boat, but at this moment, someone waved his rod and wanted to beat the void. They had already found that something invisible to them was biting them. At this moment, except for Li Hu, the other 6 people were all dripping with blood. Li Hu's face darkened. "Get ready to fight." At the moment when the fishing boat was about to hit, Han Fei screamed and rushed forward. The purple bamboo rod in his hand flashed with spiritual energy, and he was ready to use spiritual energy explosion. 3 people stood in front of Li Hu to protect him, and the other 3 had no time to care about the thing biting them and all raised their rods to fight back. However, only one of the 3 used spiritual energy explosion because the other 2 were too weak to use it. Their spiritual energy had been consumed in the spiritual energy protective cover. Han Fei squatted, held the railing with one hand, and dodged the attack of the spiritual energy explosion in a weird posture. Han Fei turned around and with a violent explosion, a person was directly swept into the sea. With a thought, Little Black dived into the sea. Since it had fallen into the water, it was better not to come up. Explode again. At this moment, Han Fei jumped up and slashed hard with his rod, directly breaking the fine iron rod in the hand of a person, and then smashing the person's head. The person was bleeding from his eyes, nose, mouth, and fell straight back. Li Hu said, "Go, go." Li Hu was horrified. He didn't know why Han Fei was so strong. Although Han Fei was very strong in the fishing trial, he was still strong enough to resist Han Fei's spiritual energy explosion 3 times. But now, he had killed 3 people with just 2 strikes. How terrifying was that? At this moment, Li Hu had no doubt that Li Lang was killed by Han Fei. This guy was too terrifying. He must have a big secret. Han Fei was about to kill the last person, but Li Qing behind him smashed him with a rod and shouted, "Young Master Han Fei, let me take care of this person." Li Qing had to show his loyalty to Han Fei. At that moment, he felt that Han Fei was full of killing intent. This was only a 12-year-old boy. No matter how mature he was, how could he give him such a feeling? He suspected that if he didn't take action, he might not be able to escape death in the end. Li Hu was furious. "Li Qing, you traitor!" Li Qing snorted. "Humph, the tigers are so domineering. I've long wanted to betray them." The 3 people in front of Li Hu gritted their teeth and attacked, but they couldn't resist Han Fei's spiritual energy explosion at all. After 3 strikes, one person was smashed to death, and another jumped off the boat and wanted to go to the nearest fishing boat for help. But after swimming less than 30 meters, he was dragged into the water by something. Another person's hands were naturally hanging down. They had been broken, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. "I don't want to die." "Fuck off, trash." Li Hu pushed this person into the sea, shouting, "Tiger head, attach to me." Han Fei sneered. "Yo! Your ugly fish came back to life again." Knowing that there was no way out, Li Hu roared and rushed at Han Fei. "Han Fei, the tigers will fight you to the death." Han Fei took 2 steps forward and smashed at him with his rod. With a loud explosion, Li Hu was directly knocked away, and the spiritual energy protective cover on his body was directly shattered. Han Fei shook his head and said with a smile, "Haven't we been fighting each other to the death? TSK. I thought you had become a lot stronger after your advancement, but it turns out that you are not even as good as those people just now. They are at least at the peak of level 9, right? What about you? You are just a weakling who has just entered level 9, and you can't even reach the peak of level 9. How can you kill me?" As soon as Li Hu stood up, Han Fei smashed him again, and the deck was directly cracked. "I heard that the tigers are arrogant." Bam! I heard that you, Li Hu, have killed countless people. Bam! I heard that you had my fishing boat destroyed at the port and made me float on the sea for 5 days and 5 nights. Bam! I heard that you want to kill me. Bam! At this time, Li Qing had just killed his seriously injured former colleague. Seeing this scene, his eyelids twitched and his heart tightened every time Han Fei smashed him. He didn't use spiritual energy explosion. After 7 or 8 blows, a big fish rushed out of Li Hu's body and bit at Han Fei. This seemed to be Li Hu's only trump card. Bam! 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 The tiger-head fish smashed through the deck and seemed to be dying. Han Fei sneered, "How dare a fish bite me? Fuck, you're not even a beast. How dare you bite me?" Li Hu's mouth was full of blood. He still wanted to struggle, but he couldn't even sit up. Han Fei, stop. In the distance, 300 meters away, a fishing boat was approaching quickly. Han Fei recognized at a glance that it was his teacher, Wang Jia, an inspector of the ordinary fishery. Han Fei waved at Wang Jia with a smile and said softly without bowing his head, "Be a fish in your next life. Don't be a human." With that, the end of the rod in Han Fei's hand flashed and he suddenly stabbed it into Li Hu's chest. Li Qing was sweating and his face was pale. The next moment, Wang Jia arrived. He glanced at the fishing boat full of blood and then at Li Hu who died with his eyes open. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. Wang Jia was shocked. In the morning, he heard from his subordinates that dozens of fishing boats of the tigers were dispatched to the ordinary fishery. At that time, Wang Jia knew that something bad was going to happen, so he immediately went to ask Li Gang. Li Gang said that Han Fei went to He Xiaoyu's house, and then he rushed to He Xiaoyu's house. Mrs. He said that Han Fei went to see. At that time, Wang Jia knew that something bad was going to happen. But at this moment, seeing this scene, he couldn't help but be surprised, because he didn't come here by himself, but someone reported that a battle had taken place here. After he came, he saw this bloody scene. Han Fei smiled and said, "Teacher, isn't it like this at sea? Fighting with the sea, fighting with the fish, and fighting with people. Luckily, I won." Theoretically, killing people in ordinary fisheries was protected. But the tigers chased him first, so no one would say anything if Han Fei killed these people at this moment. Especially when Han Fei was his student. Wang Jia didn't say anything and took Han Fei back to the floating island. When he left, Wang Jia only said one sentence. "Don't go to sea for 3 months." On this day, the Heavenly Water Village was shocked. It was said that Han Fei, who won the first place in the fishing trial, killed the son of Li Ju, the leader of the tigers, in the ordinary fishery. It was said that the tigers chased Han Fei and suffered heavy casualties. It was said that Li Ju, the leader of the tigers, vomited blood in public and tears of blood flowed out of his eyes. It was said that after Han Fei came back, he directly declared war on Li Ju. When the Wang family, the old rival of the tigers, heard the news, the patriarch of the Wang family laughed and praised Han Fei, saying that he deserved to win the first place in the fishing trial. Wang Baiyu, as the leader of the 3rd generation of the Wang family, smiled bitterly after hearing the news. He seemed to understand something. Did Han Fei really become what he was today because of Tang Ji's gift? The whole Heavenly Water Village was talking about Han Fei, but he didn't care at all, because He Xiaoyu was leaving. Chapter 78. He Xiaoyu's mother burst into tears, reluctant to let her go. He Mingtang was also very sad. He raised his daughter with all his efforts and raised her so well. He really couldn't bear to let her go. He Xiaoyu also cried and hugged her mother, refusing to get on the fishing boat. The village leader coughed. Cough, cough. Xiaoyu. After all, going to the town is not the same as going to the city. You will come back every year. He Mingtang said, go. Remember that you are my daughter, He Mingtang. You have an exotic spiritual beast. Even in the town, you are the best. He Xiaoyu said, Dad, I will study hard and strive to become a great fishing master as soon as possible. At this time, Han Fei stepped forward. Well, He Xiaoyu, I heard that people in the town have a very high starting point and are very strong. I guess you will practice other arts while practicing rod techniques. Here, this knife was left to me by Tang Gu. You can keep it with you. If someone bullies you, you can cut him. He Mingtang glared at Han Fei. Is my daughter the kind of person who will cut people casually? Huh? This knife. The village leader's eyes lit up. He immediately took the knife and looked at it. Then he drew out the blade fish dagger from He Mingtang's body. The two knives collided, and the blade fish dagger was instantly broken into two pieces. Everyone's eyes lit up. The village leader said in surprise, is this an ordinary weapon? And it is at least a mid-quality or high-quality ordinary weapon. He Xiaoyu also widened her eyes. Ordinary weapons? She had only heard of them but never used them. Han Fei scratched his head and said, it's nothing. It's just a knife. Knives are used to cut people. I don't cut people. This knife is not suitable for me. Everyone chuckled. You don't cut people. You stabbed the young master of the tigers to death. Yes, you don't cut people, but you stab people. He Xiaoyu took the knife in delight. Feeling the coldness of the blade, she couldn't help asking, what's the name of this knife? Han Fei said, a knife is a knife. What name can it have? You can name it yourself. He Xiaoyu snorted and couldn't bear to part with the knife. This knife is black and white and the blade is cold. Why don't we call it the black and white knife? Everyone. On the same boat, Wang Baiyu rolled his eyes. What's the difference between having a name and not having one? As long as you like it. It's up to you. He Xiaoyu said, thank you, Han Fei. I'll take care of you when I return from the town. You may not believe it, but I can kill an iron-head fish with a single punch. Do I need your protection? He Xiaoyu said, just brag. The village leader interrupted them. Okay, it's almost time. Han Fei, are you really not coming with us? No, Grandpa Leader, there are still a lot of things waiting for me to deal with. The village chief really wanted to kick this brat's body. You speak as if you are the village chief, and there are so many things waiting for you to handle. Who are you? The fishing boat took off, and everyone waved their hands. It was not until the fishing boat disappeared in the clouds that He Mingtang said, Han Fei, that knife, Mr. He, it's just a knife. Tang Gu left more than one for me. He Mingtang, of course, this knife was not left for him by Tang Gu, but Han Fei forged it with Li Lang's iron tree rod and the nearly 50 blade fish daggers he got from the fishing trial. Its quality was not just mortal level mid-quality, but mortal level ultra-quality. In the plantation. Han Fei walked in with barbecue and liquor. Han Fei said, Grandpa, I'm back. The old man raised his eyelids. Brat, you still remember to come back? If you didn't come back, this land would have been deserted. Han Fei was speechless. Didn't you throw some spiritual energy into the land? The old man said disdainfully, old people should enjoy life. Don't farm. Isn't farming tiring? Han Fei was dumbfounded. Do you think I'm not tired? I'm exhausted to death these past few days. Han Fei threw the liquor on the table, walked into the field, and sat on the ground. Where was the progress last time? He seemed to be instilling spiritual energy into the ground on a large scale. Han Fei had already started experimenting and was throwing spiritual energy into the ground. The old man grabbed a garlic prawn and ate it while deep in thought. Did this kid kill a group of elites of the tigers alone on a fishing boat? Huh. This kid is at the peak of level 9. The corners of the old man's mouth trembled. Are all young people nowadays so abnormal? There was no shortage of 12-year-old level 9 fishers in the town. There were even 12-year-old fishing masters, but there was number 12-year-old boy in the town who could kill a fishing master as a level 9 fisher. 1 month later, Han Fei and old Jiang were standing in front of a large tank covered with thick fish skin. The old man asked, "Are you sure you succeeded?" Han Fei replied, "Yes, but if I succeed, I'll have to expose it to the sun for a while after opening the tank." The old man asked, "Are you sure it's called vinegar? Is vinegar delicious?" Han Fei replied, "Of course it's not delicious when eaten alone, but how many kinds of spiritual fruits in this garden are delicious when eaten alone?" The old man nodded. In terms of cooking, Han Fei seemed to have a natural talent, so the old man had no right to comment on it. Han Fei took out a blade fish dagger and poked a hole in the fish skin, and suddenly a sour smell drifted out of the tank. The old man said in disgust, "It smells really bad." Han Fei said, "Things that smell bad are usually the most delicious." The old man said, "Then try this semi-finished product first. Maybe it will be half as delicious." Han Fei asked, "Let's try it." "Let's try it." Since Han Fei lived in the plantation, Jiang Qin had taken turns to rest. At this moment, when she came back from outside, she saw the old man and the young man surrounding a large tank. Jiang Qin asked, "What are you doing?" Han Fei and the old man replied, "It's a secret." Jiang Qin laughed. "Ha!" Since Han Fei learned how to spread spiritual energy in the land, he began to play with all kinds of things, mainly food. At first, the old man was also very disdainful, but after he tried Han Fei's dishes, he began to study with Han Fei, saying that this was one of the great joys of life. He had never eaten delicious food before, but he didn't expect that he would be able to enjoy it when he was old. Half an hour later, the three of them sat around a table, on which there was a large plate of cold kelp, a large plate of drunken shrimp, and 3 big sweet potatoes. Both the old man and Jiang Qin liked roasted sweet potatoes very much. They used to eat them raw, but they didn't expect that the roasted ones were even more delicious, but the 2 dishes in front of them made them a little reluctant to eat them. The old man asked, "Are you sure you didn't lie to me? Isn't this seaweed? Can seaweed be eaten? And this little white shrimp is still alive and moving." Han Fei asked, "Can't grass be eaten? Insects also eat grass." The old man said, "That's an insect. Are humans insects?" Han Fei rolled his eyes. Insects are indeed small in front of humans, but humans are as small as dust in front of the sky and the earth. Insects can eat grass, and so can humans. Also, this little white shrimp only tastes good when it's alive. It won't taste good when it's dead. Han Fei said it casually, but neither old Jiang nor Jiang Qin moved their chopsticks. Han Fei looked at the 2 of them contemptuously, picked up a little white shrimp and put it into his mouth. He spat out a piece of shrimp shell and the transparent shrimp meat had already entered his stomach. Old Jiang and Jiang Qin looked at each other and the corners of their mouths twitched. Seeing that Han Fei seemed to enjoy it, they couldn't help picking up one and putting it into their mouth to try it. However, as soon as it was put into his mouth, the old man's eyes lit up and Han Fei spat out a piece of shrimp shell. The old man asked, "Is this vinegar?" Han Fei asked, "How do you feel?" The old man nodded. "Very good. This thing is easy to make, fast, and can be eaten for a long time." "Not bad, not bad," Jiang Qin frowned, wondering if the old man and the young man had teamed up to deceive her. But after trying Han Fei's cooking several times, she found that it was very good, so in the end, she still moved her chopsticks. When the little white shrimp was anesthetized, the smoothness, the feeling of life jumping on her tongue, the rich wine aroma, and the sour but not bad sauce made her eyes narrow. "It's delicious." Jiang Qin asked, "What about this seaweed?" Han Fei smiled. "Sister Qin, have a taste." Jiang Qin didn't object to the drunken prawns and directly started eating. Half an hour later, most of the plate of salad and drunken shrimp were in the stomachs of old Jiang and Jiang Qin, but the two of them hadn't touched the roasted sweet potatoes. After a while, the old man lay lazily on the chair, chewing the roasted sweet potatoes in his mouth. The old man clicked his tongue. "Boy Han, I think if you don't become a spirit gatherer in the future, you will be very popular as a chef." Han Fei shrugged. "I'm not interested in cooking for so many people. I cook mainly for myself." Suddenly, Han Fei saw Jiang Qin winking at him as if she wanted him to follow her. Deep in the garden, Han Fei asked, "Sister Qin, what's up?" "I'm sneaking around." Jiang Qin was still cold. She looked at Han Fei seriously and said, "Do you want to learn combat skills?" Chapter 79. Combat Skills. Of course, Han Fei wanted to learn them. As early as a month ago when he came back from the sea, he realized this problem. His current combat skills were too lacking. In addition to hitting with sticks, he could only rely on spiritual energy explosions. Sometimes he even felt that Little Black was more useful than him. Little Black could even bite. Han Fei immediately said, "Yes. Sister Qin, are you going to teach me?" "I can teach you, but you have to promise me one thing." "What is it?" "It's useless to tell you now, but you have to make a promise. When one day you become a very strong soul warrior, you have to come back to the village leader." Looking at Jiang Qin's serious look, Han Fei couldn't help asking, "Very strong? How strong?" "At least stronger than Fang Zhe." Han Fei scratched his head. "Sister Qin, Fang Zhe. A legendary hidden fisher is even stronger than him. How strong must he be? If you can't be stronger than him, then forget it. Even if I teach you for free, you don't have to fulfill any promise." Han Fei had long felt that this pair of grandfather and grandson were very strange. This old man was obviously very strong. When he fought with the village leader, he felt so. At that time, the village leader tried his best, but the old man just moved his fingers and threw the village leader out. Jiang Qin must be very strong. Han Fei continued to scratch his head. "Then, can I have a try?" Jiang Qin looked at Han Fei seriously. "You have to think about it carefully. I know you have the talent to be a spirit gatherer. Even when you reach Fang Zhe's realm, spirit gatherers will still be pursued by everyone. However, spirit gatherers don't specialize in fighting. Although they can control the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, their knowledge is diverse, and it is difficult for them to have high achievements." Han Fei asked, "So?" Jiang Qin said, "Soul warriors have the strongest frontal combat ability and the best weapons. The best soul warrior can have both the super defensive ability of an armorist and the explosive power comparable to that of a hunter. So, are you willing to become a soul warrior?" Han Fei was shocked. Once upon a time, he didn't even know what a spirit gatherer was. It was the only time he saw an armorist from the Wang family in the market. At that time, he was very envious. He felt that the armorist was very pretentious. Now he was not only a spirit gatherer, but also a soul warrior. Han Fei felt his mouth go dry. He gulped and asked, "Why me?" Jiang Qin said, "You have a kind of luck. You have been in trouble in the fisheries several times and should have returned to the sea long ago, but you survived. Not only that, you became stronger and stronger, until you killed a fishing master." Han Fei's heart trembled. "You know?" Jiang Qin shook her head. "Although I didn't see that battle, fishing masters can't escape my eyes." Li Lang of the Tigers never returned after he went to sea. He must have died. "Sister Qin, you really didn't choose me because I'm talented?" Jiang Qin said with a faint smile, "Do you have talent?" Han Fei felt that he was being despised, but he didn't mind being despised. "Battle's Soul Master, Does that mean I can learn combat skills? I can't always hit people with a stick, can I? Jiang Qin said, there is a reason why Grandpa doesn't allow you to become a soul warrior. Few people can be proficient in 2 professions, and even if there are, very few are very strong in both professions. Are you willing to take this risk? Han Fei nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Yes, I'm willing. Of course, Han Fei was willing. Not to mention anything else, he felt that a half-baked spirit gatherer like him was completely useless in a battle. He couldn't control things like the old man. When people attacked him, he could only hit them with a stick. But if he could become a soul warrior, would he be able to slash with a knife, stab with a sword, and use hidden weapons? Jiang Qin nodded slightly. Do you know why soul warriors are almost invincible in close combat? Han Fei shook his head. Because you have a strong physique, good weapons, and many combat skills. This is also one of the reasons why I like you. You are born with great strength, which ordinary people can't have. I don't know what opportunity you have, but I think this is the reason why you can advance so quickly and have a strong physique. Jiang Qin said, since you have made your choice, come to the village library to find me tomorrow. There was a library in the village, but no one took it seriously. It was said that the combat skills in it were not high level enough. After the fishing trial, Han Fei could enter the library to choose combat skills at any time, but after learning the spirit gathering art, he forgot about this. Now standing in front of this shabby building, he sighed with emotion. What good things could there be in this shabby building? Jiang Qin asked, you don't like it? Han Fei said, no. Ha. I just think the design of this library in our village is very quaint. Jiang Qin said calmly, not only you, but many people don't like it. What kind of combat skills can there be in this shabby building? But who told you that the higher the level of combat skills, the better? Han Fei tilted his head and looked at her. Isn't it? Jiang Qin shook her head. The higher the level of a combat skill, the more difficult it is to cultivate. Conversely, the lower the level, the easier it is to cultivate. For a soul warrior, a practical combat skill is a good record. No matter how bad a combat skill is, it can still be used to fight, can't it? Han Fei smacked his lips. Although he felt that what Jiang Qin said was very reasonable, who really wanted a rubbish combat skill? Besides, was a combat skill really a low-level record in his hands? Not necessarily. He had the demon purification pot. Jiang Qin said, go in. Choose the combat skill you are interested in and bring it out. Han Fei asked, how many can I bring? Jiang Qin said, bring as many as you want. Anyway, even if you bring them out, I may not let you learn them. Han Fei. There was only an old man guarding the library, who looked like a cleaner. Han Fei glanced at him, wondering if this old man was a sweeping monk. But this old man was too ordinary and looked like he would die at any time. Han Fei shook his head. How could there be so many sweeping monks? Entering the library, as Han Fei expected, it was very shabby inside and the wooden floor creaked when he stepped on it. The bookshelves seemed to fall at any time, and there were large clusters of cobwebs in the corner. Hey, isn't there an old man guarding it? Why are there so many cobwebs? The library in the village only had one floor, and there was no legendary saying that the number of floors was divided into different grades. Han Fei walked up and saw that some books had human paw prints on them. Obviously, people had been here, but there was too much dust, so he left a paw print when he scratched the books. More books were covered with dust and didn't even have a paw print. Han Fei glanced at them. Rod technique skills, fist technique outline, fishing technique essentials, iron fist art, iron fish rod, fish chopper. A bunch of books were placed here. Han Fei twitched the corner of his mouth. The library in the village was like this. He was afraid that the one in the town was not much better. Han Fei didn't mind the dirt. He looked all the way and glanced at the names of each book. When he found the names were good, he pulled them out and threw them on the ground. 7 Knife Cutting, this name is good. Oh, Wuji Rod, this name is a bit awesome. Sleeve Blade sounds like a hidden weapon. I'll keep it for now. Wind Walking Rod, well, maybe it will work. Rod Shaking Technique, used for fishing. Can it be better than my hook kiss? Go away. More than half an hour later, under Jiang Qin's stunned gaze, Han Fei came out with dozens of books in his arms. The height of the books had reached his chin from his belly. Jiang Qin was speechless. Can you finish them? Han Fei said, I'm helping you choose for me. I also chose a few myself. They are not bad. Jiang Qin said, let me have a look at the books you chose first. Han Fei took out 3 books from the bottom, whose names were Wind and Wave Cutting Technique, The Strongest Invincible Rod Technique, and Sea-Piercing Sword Technique. Jiang Qin, Han Fei was still feeling proud of himself. It took me a lot of effort to find these 3 awesome books. But to his surprise, Jiang Qin threw the 3 books on the ground with an ugly look and said, so you chose the combat skills based on the names? Just because the name sounds nice, you chose it? Han Fei said, yes. I think the person who can write these names must be a man of great courage. What's wrong with that? Jiang Qin said, the fisherman who wrote the sea-piercing sword technique, well, it's not bad. After writing this book, he went to the ordinary fishery with a sword and then died together with a blade fish. Han Fei. Jiang Qin added, and the wind and waves cutting technique. This man wrote this book as soon as he became a fishing master, saying that he could walk on waves. Then he went to the level 1 fishery to do that, but he was pierced through by a swordfish. Han Fei. Han Fei asked cautiously, what about the strongest invincible rod technique? Jiang Qin nodded. Yes, he knocked himself to death. Han Fei. Chapter 80. Han Fei felt that these authors were simply too unreliable and ruined all the good names. Jiang Qin said, don't move. Let me see the rest. Jiang Qin stood in front of Han Fei, picked up a random book and threw it away. The author of this 9-level saber technique hasn't even learned the first level. He went crazy after practicing the 2nd level. I don't want it. This sea rod is very ordinary. It's not as powerful as your sweeping rod. You can throw it away. This knife-breaking technique is too poor and has no combat power at all. It's just empty talk. Throw it away. Han Fei stared at Jiang Qin dumbfoundedly. There were a dozen combat skills, but in the end, there were only 5 left. Sister Qin, if you keep throwing them away, there will be no more. Didn't you say that the quality of combat skills doesn't matter? Why did you throw them all away? Jiang Qin was silent for a moment. I overestimated your ability to choose. Han Fei. Jiang Qin continued, I found that a small half of these dozens of combat skills are assassination combat skills. Do you know that assassination is a combat skill that hunters specialize in? Han Fei nodded. It's a surprise attack. Han Fei felt that hidden weapons were very good. Little Black could be used as a hidden weapon. Jiang Qin said, Soul warriors can't practice assassination combat skills, but most of the time, the conditions don't allow it at all. Soul warriors are more likely to fight head-on. Han Fei asked, can I practice 2 to save my life? Jiang Qin said, I left 1 for you. You can learn the other 5 combat skills first. Han Fei glanced at the 5 books in his hand. They were Gusty Rod, Gale Steps, Blood Boiling, Saber Walking Technique, and Silk Hand. Han Fei happily returned to the plantation with the 5 books in his arms. Soul warriors. When I become a soul warrior, will I be very good at fighting? Li Ju, well. I'll kill him with 1 strike. In the plantation. Old Zhang's face was not very good. He glanced at Han Fei and said, "You have no ambition." Han Fei? Old Zhang sneered. Do you know that in any war, soul warriors must fight in the front line? They have the highest death rate and are the target of everyone. Han Fei asked, "Ah. Is it dangerous?" Old Zhang scoffed. What do you think? Only spirit gatherers and manipulators are the soul of a team. In any battle, soul warriors die first, then armorists. How many rounds do you think you can last? Han Fei scratched his head and took a breath. Although I look like a soul warrior, I'm essentially a spirit gatherer. Yes, yes. That way, I will become the target of everyone's protection. Old Jiang, fuck off. I don't care what combat skills you learn, but you have to plant the land first. When you have mastered the spirit concentration art, you can go to the next stage of learning. Yes, old master. Han Fei did not know what the next stage of study was, but had he ever come here to study before? Other than reciting books and farming, when have I ever learned? Han Fei sat on the ground with the 5 books in his arms, picked them up and browsed through them one by one. After a while, he almost understood what Jiang Qin meant. The feature of Gale's stick was that it was fast but not strong enough, but this weakness was made up for by him. Gale's steps could increase one's speed, which could be used to fight or run. If one was defeated, one could escape. But he realized that there was no chance for him to use Gale's steps on the sea. Could it be that he could walk on the water as if it were on the ground? Blood boil was not a combat skill, but a secret method to boost one's strength. It consumed a lot of blood and spiritual energy to make the spiritual energy in the body violent and stimulate the body crazily, thereby greatly increasing one's strength in a short period of time. As for the walking blade technique and winding hand, they were even easier to understand. The walking blade technique was a throwing knife technique, while the winding hand was a technique that allowed the muscles in the hands to be more agile. With these two combined, one could shoot hidden weapons or practical knives with agility. TSK, very comprehensive. If I deduce it again, won't my strength be greatly increased? Gale's stick, ungraded, note, this is the work of an unknown person. It's low grade and unsightly. Deduction art, cannot be deduced. You can deduce the art by combining the concept of the combat skill. The deduction result is random and requires 1000 points of spiritual energy. Han Fei opened his mouth wide when he saw this explanation. So what if it's ungraded? How dare you say it's low grade and unsightly? If the author were still alive, wouldn't he be pissed to death? Han Fei didn't panic at all. It's just 1000 points of spiritual energy. I can afford it. Deduction. Data reappeared in his mind. Crazy Devil's Stick, mortal level, ultra quality. Note, a genius fisher was chased by his enemies 300 years ago and created this combat skill on the way. Eventually, he killed 2 fishing masters and 9 fishers and died of exhaustion. Shortcoming, easy to go crazy and lose your mind. Use with caution. Deduction art, you can deduce a new art by combining the concept of the combat skill. The deduction result is random and requires 10,000 points of spiritual energy. Han Fei immediately took a breath. Wow, an ultra-quality art was deduced with 1000 points of spiritual energy. However, the guy who created this armor was really powerful. As a fisher, he killed 2 fishing masters and 9 other fishers. Han Fei didn't know how he killed them. He didn't seem to be weak either. He killed a fishing master and dozens of level 9 fishers from the tigers. Han Fei continued to deduce, only to find that the 5 combat skills were all ungraded. He thought to himself that the combat skills in the village were really untrustworthy. He would have to go to the town or the city to find combat skills in the future. 10 minutes later, all the combat skills were deduced. Wind Step, mortal level, ultra quality. Note, a fishing master encountered a gale in the fishery 900 years ago. Feeling the power of the wind, he created Wind Step. After mastering it, he can walk on the wind for a short period of time. The highest record is 800 meters. Shortcoming, average speed deduction art. You can deduce a new art by combining the concept of the combat skill. The deduction result is random and requires 10,000 points of spiritual energy. Fury, mortal level, ultra quality. Note, 200 years ago, a soul warrior stimulated the power of blood and spiritual energy when his friend was in danger and broke out the limit of his strength. The improvement depends on the physique of each person. Shortcoming, after Fury, you can't use it again within a day. Deduction art, you can deduce a new art by combining the concept of the combat skill. The deduction result is random and requires 10,000 points of spiritual energy. Universe knife, mortal level, ultra quality. Note, 500 years ago, a peerless genius created this art on the first day he practiced knives. As soon as he uses this knife, all his spiritual energy will be exhausted. Shortcoming, as a fishing master, he will be at the mercy of others. Deduction art, you can deduce a new art by combining the concept of the combat skill. The deduction result is random and requires 10,000 points of spiritual energy. Shadowless hand, mortal level, divine quality. Note, in ancient times, a cultivator weaved a giant net of spiritual energy with his hands. When the net was formed, he comprehended the shadowless hand. Deduction art, you can deduce a new art by combining the concept of the combat skill. The deduction result is random and requires 100,000 points of spiritual energy. Han Fei was very satisfied with the results of the deduction of the 5 arts. Especially the last one, Shadowless Hand. He was so lucky that it even deduced a divine quality combat skill. Although it was a skill to practice hands, this book alone was worth the trip to the library of the Heavenly Water Village. But what made Han Fei speechless was that among the 5 arts, except for the Shadowless Hand, the other 4 had obvious shortcomings. Crazy Devil's Rod might make him crazy, Wind Steps needed to be practiced on the sea, and Fury was worth a try, but did it need practice? I've already mastered it. The only thing I can try is how much my combat power will be improved after I use Fury. As for the Universe Knife, I'll exhaust all my spiritual energy after I use it. I'm not going to try it. After thinking it through, Han Fei mixed his spiritual energy with his blood according to the way to use Fury. The next moment, he felt that his whole body was expanding and his body was much stronger. If old Jiang or Jiang Qin were here, they would definitely find that Han Fei's eyes were bloodshot and the veins on his neck were bulging. Bam! Han Fei hit the ground with his fist and a big pit was immediately smashed on the ground. He felt that if he met Li Lang at this time, he should be able to fight him head-on without playing tricks. After no more than 10 minutes, Han Fei sat on the ground, panting heavily. Wow, awesome! But I'm sore all over. It's a bit hard. 3 days later, Jiang Qin came. According to her calculation, this kind of simple combat skill could be learned very quickly and could be learned in half a day. As for the 5 arts, it would take 2.5 days to learn. At this moment, she came to take the assessment. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.